Hey guys, how are you all? Welcome back to my channel. Today we will see what if Naruto broke in inside and leave Konoha. If you enjoy, then please like, share and do comments. It was late into the night in Konoha, but the hidden leaf village was in a buzz. The container of the nine-tailed fox, Naruto Uzumaki, has stolen the forbidden scroll of sealing. All of the village's available Chunin and Jonin were searching for him. Even the Hokage himself was scanning with his crystal ball. After searching for an hour, the Hokage finally found Naruto in the woods. However, he saw an exchange of blows between the two Chunin Academy teachers, before Naruto ran off. This isn't good. Mizuki told him the secret. Naruto is more unstable than ever. He might release the power that has been sealed. The Sandaime thought. He also has the scroll of sealing. The possibility that he will unseal himself and turn into a nine-tailed fox is possible. If that happens, the Sandaime Hokage shuddered at the thought. An orange blur flew through the trees, Naruto running on all fours to increase his speed. Just then the scar-faced Chunin, Iruka, appeared a short ways behind him. "Naruto," he called. What Mizuki said back there was all a lie. "Hand over the scroll to me." Mizuki is after it. What happened next shocked him. Naruto leapt to the next branch, bounced back, and rammed into Iruka's shoulder first. Both fell from the treetops, Iruka skidding on his back along the forest floor while Naruto lands on his feet, skidding to a stop near a tree, breathing heavily. What? Iruka sputtered as Naruto removed the scroll from his back and collapsed against the tree facing him. How, Naruto? How? Iruka is engulfed in smoke, revealing Mizuki glaring at him. Did you know I'm not Iruka? Naruto gave a pained grin before he too was engulfed in smoke, this time revealing Iruka. I'm Iruka. Mizuki stood and brushed himself off. I see, he said. What good is there in protecting the one who killed your parents? Unknown to both of them, Naruto was hiding a short distance away, able to hear every word. I'm not going to let an idiot like you get that scroll. You're the idiot. Naruto is the same as me. Same as you? Anything is possible with that scroll. There's no way that Naruto, the monster fox, won't use its power. Yeah, you're right. Naruto gasped in disbelief. I knew it. Iruka-sensei doesn't recognize me inside. Naruto thought to himself. Just then he heard a sickening splat. Naruto looked up and, to his horror, saw Iruka's head rolling across the forest floor, his body still leaning against the tree, but with a giant shuriken stuck through what was left of his neck. At least we agreed with one thing, fool, Mizuki said as he spat on Iruka's headless body. Something seemed to snap inside Naruto. All the years of pain, suffering, and sorrow he felt, all the memories of Iruka being nice to him, all these emotions flooded out of him. Red chakra began flowing from his body. His fingers became clawed, his whiskers became more defined, scar-like even, and his ocean blue eyes turned blood red. Amidst this transformation, Naruto didn't notice the giant scroll he held vanish from his grasp. Mizuki froze as he felt a powerful killer intent. This bloodlust, this desire to kill, I've never felt anything like this before. Mizuki turned around slowly, till he saw a tree with red chakra flying out from behind it. Was the fox here the whole time? He heard a bang and saw cracks run along the tree. Another bang, and the tree began falling away from Mizuki. Suddenly, a form covered in red chakra erupted from the cracks of the tree, plowing right into Mizuki head first into his stomach. Saliva flew from Mizuki's mouth before the force from the impact sent him flying, plowing through 3 trees before smashing into a 4th. He collapsed in a heap, gasping for breath. When he looked up he saw Naruto walking toward him, red chakra flowing around him, a furious look on his face. Mizuki cowered under Naruto's gaze, rushed to his feet before turning and running, only to plow into the same tree he landed on. He screamed as the tree fell towards him, unable to endure the damage it had taken any longer. He tried to leap out of the way, but the tree fell on his legs, keeping him in place. Mizuki twisted around, ignoring the pain his back and legs were giving off, and tried to lift the tree off him, but screamed in pain as his hand seemed to melt off his arm as it came in contact with the red chakra. Mizuki turned around, only to come face to face with an angry Naruto. Stay away from me, demon. This caused Naruto to chuckle. All my life I've been called a demon. I've done everything I can to prove I'm not a monster, but now I see the truth. I'll never be seen as anything more than a monster in this village, and those I care about will be killed because of me. Naruto got down on one knee, and stared into Mizuki's eyes. Perhaps it's time I acted like one. The red chakras surrounding Naruto leapt forward, engulfing Mizuki's form. The traitor howled in agony as the demonic chakra burned his skin. Naruto suddenly plunged a clawed hand through Mizuki's stomach, piercing through a lung, before coming out his back. Mizuki's screams became choked as blood came up his throat, and spilled from his wounds. Mizuki barely felt his body grow hot as the demonic chakra began to make his blood literally boil. His body temperature rose to the point that his body fat ignited. Mizuki gave one last scream of agony before his lifeless body fell to the forest floor, still burning. Naruto spat on Mizuki's burning body in disgust. Good riddance. Naruto felt something slap his back, before he felt the fox's chakra drain from him. He fell to all fours, gasping for breath. What just happened? I remember Iruka-sensei being killed, then my stomach burning. What happened? Having finally caught his breath, Naruto looked around. Several trees had been knocked down, one of them had lit on fire. Naruto looked closely at the burning tree, when he realized a person was on fire beneath the tree. Naruto then noticed a puddle of red bubbling liquid pooled around the figure, some stray hairs that were a bluish-silvery color, and the fact that his right arm was hurting. Looking at his arm, he saw the jacket's arm had been burned off, and was covered in the bubbling liquid. Naruto slowly began putting the pieces together, his eyes widening as he began remembering just what happened. No, 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 he whispered. As soon as he remembered the entire scene he began to scream. No, no, no. Naruto felt himself gag. He quickly ran to a nearby tree before he vomited violently, vaguely aware of the fact that someone was holding him by his stomach and rubbing his back. Once he was done, Naruto's entire body was shivering. This can't be happening, he whispered. This can't be real, oh Kami. I am a monster. Naruto broke down right then and there, crying for what he had done, what had happened to Iruka, what had happened to himself. No, you're not a monster. Naruto froze at those words. It was only then that he realized someone was holding him up. He turned around slowly. The person holding him was dressed in a black, long-sleeved shirt, a black ninja vest, black ninja pants, a silver belt with a ninja pouch, black ninja boots, and wore a black cloth that was wrapped around their entire head, concealing everything but a pair of violet-colored eyes. Who are you? You can call me Amara. What are you? Naruto choked back a sob. Relax, you have nothing to fear from me. How can I relax? I just killed a man. I tortured him to death. That's not what I saw. I saw your demon bloodlust forcibly released, after such a long time of being kept sealed away. I really am a mon. Smack. Naruto fell down, shocked. Amara picked him up by his jacket's collar, and pulled him up till they were face to face, air mask. You are not a monster. You contain the nine-tailed fox, a demon. As a result, some of the demon's bloodlust is transferred to you. You have no choice but to kill every once in a while, or else you'll go insane. That's the fate we Jinchuriki carry. You clearly don't enjoy it outside that state. If you did, you really would be a monster. Amara set Naruto back on his feet. You don't enjoy it, you are not a monster. How do you know this? Naruto didn't dare let himself believe Amara was right. I'm the Jinchuriki of the four-tailed wolf, Aku. Naruto's eyes widened in shock. This person was like him, he could hardly believe it. Just then, Amara's head snapped to the side. We have to go, now. The fire has attracted the other shinobi. But, listen to me, I can't stay here, and if you stay, these shinobi will blame you for all that has happened tonight and try to kill you on the spot. Please trust me. Naruto looked down for a moment, then he heard some shouts getting closer. He looked Amara in the eye and nodded. Amara grabbed him by the shoulder and made a one-handed hand seal, before both of them vanished in a whirl of leaves. Just then, the Sandame and an Anbu squad arrived at the scene. Yamato, put out the flames. Everyone else, search for Naruto and the scroll. Yes, Hokage-sama. The Anbu spread out to search. The Sandame was about to join them, when Yamato called him over. What is it, Yamato? Mizuki, sir. Mizuki? Yamato pointed at the base of the tree, where the charred remains of Mizuki laid. The Sandame looked at the remains with an expressionless face. Any clues to who did this? Visually, no. However, you need only to approach the corpse to feel what did this. The Sandame moved forward. As he approached the remains, He felt what he could only describe as evil chakra, and only one creature in Konoha had that chakra. Sarutobi shook his head. So the fox has reared its head once again. Sarutobi closed his eyes as he thought out loud. Our first priority should be to find Naruto and check to see what condition his seal is in and if it needs adjusting. Next we need to find what happened to the forbidden sealing scroll and retrieve it. Iruka's whereabouts are unknown at this time. When we find him, we should find out what exactly happened here. Hokage-sama, we found the scroll and Iruka. Sarutobi was instantly at the Anbu's side. Iruka's arms were wrapped around the giant scroll, a shuriken embedded in the tree where his neck used to be. Another Anbu walked over with Iruka's head. Sarutobi sighed. Good work. Any sign of Naruto? The two Anbu shook their heads. No. Hokage-sama. Sarutobi once again rushed to the Anbu that called out to him. The Anbu, a Inuzuka judging by the dog she had, pointed toward a tree trunk covered with vomit, but without blood. The Sandame frowned. Ramen, defiantly Naruto's. Hokage-sama, Tez picked up a second scent. The Anbu listened to the dog bark, before nodding her head. He said that Naruto smelled more fox-like than usual, meaning he used its chakra. The second scent smells human, female to be exact, only it also smells a bit like wolf. He says the wolf scent is similar to the female's in the same way the fox's scent is to Naruto's. Sarutobi's eyes widened. Another Jinchuriki. Can you track their scents? If we move now, the girl is using Shunshin no Jutsu. Sarutobi turned to the remaining Anbu. Find and retrieve Naruto and the girl. I want them alive and in one piece. Yes, Hokage-sama. Seconds later, Sarutobi found himself alone in the clearing. Naruto, please be alright. Amara leapt from tree to tree, Naruto dazed on her back. You still awake, kid? She asked. Yeah, was the mumbled response. We're almost out of here, we just need to. She was cut off as a figure leapt towards them. Amara leapt down, landing in a small clearing. Need you off my back, this will take some time. Naruto got off her back as Amara flashed through hand signs. Wood style. Wood clone jutsu. Logs of wood sprung from the ground around Naruto, twisting and shifting, till they formed 4 clones of Amara. Just then, 4 Anbu appeared in front of the original Amara. Did you see what she just did? One Anbu asked their leader. Yamato frowned behind his mask, but nodded. He stepped forward. Who are you, and why have you kidnapped a citizen of Konoha? He demanded. I'm just a concerned kunoichi taking this abused child from his abusive village. Amara responded. By order of the Sandame Hokage, you are to surrender yourself and the boy. Failure to comply will result in the use of force. Amara cocked her head to the side, as if she was considering it. She straightened up. Pass. Magma style. Several voices called out from around the Anbu. Magma Dragon Jutsu. The ground around the Anbu shifted, before 6 molten dragons shot out, heading straight for the Anbu. Each Anbu leapt away, quickly going through hand signs. Water style. Water Fang Bullet. Fire style. Grand Fireball Jutsu. Wind style. Drilling Air Bullet. Lightning style. Lightning Bolt Strike. The jutsu collided with the magma dragons, causing a large explosion, covering the area in fire and smoke. Bits of earth and rock debris flew from the explosion, colliding with the Anbu and Amara's hidden clones. One rock caught Yamato in the face, shattering his mask, then a second one caught him in his chest, knocking him off his feet and the wind out of him. He tried to catch his breath, but inhaled some smoke instead, sending him into a coughing fit. Wind style. Great gust. A harsh wind blew over the clearing, blowing the smoke and some small fires away. Yamato took gulps of fresh air, quickly able to assess the damage that had been done. He himself had a broken nose, several cracked ribs, and possibly a punctured lung, as he was having difficulty breathing properly. One of his squad mates was buried under a pile of dirt and rock, his breathing shallow, he'd be okay, but was immobile. His second squad mate was pinned to the ground with a large chunk of molten rock fusing to the ground, immobilizing him as well. Looking at his last squad member, he saw her leg bent the opposite way it should be. Part of her mask had shattered, revealing enough of her face to show her unconsciousness. Her dog was still conscious, yowling in pain as a small mound of molten rock ate away at its hind legs. Yamato sighed as he realized his team was in no condition to continue the mission. Yamato turned to Amara, about to say something, when she beat him to it. Your team is in no condition to follow my mistress and Naruto. She used shadow clones and a substitution jutsu to escape just as our jutsus exploded. They should be out of the village by now. Amara said. Yamato grumbled at this. You used a wood-style jutsu. Only Lady Tsunade and myself should be capable of using that style. We possess the Shodem Hokage's Kekkei Genkei. How do you perform them? Yamato demanded. Fool, all you need is a water and earth affinity to create wood. You don't need a bloodline for that. While it does make it easier to perform those jutsu, I trained myself to be able to use fusion elemental jutsu without the need of a bloodline. You'd have to be 25 to have enough training to use at least one fusion elemental effectively, but you look like you're in your mid-teens. Wait a minute. Yamato's eyes widened as a possibility came to mind. You work for Orochimaru, don't you? As soon as those words left his mouth, Yamato felt a boot collide with his face, the force behind it sending him skidding across the ground. His back collided with a tree trunk, stopping his skid. As he looked up, he screamed in pain as Amara grabbed him by his jimmies. Never relate me to that sick little again, got it? She growled. Yamato could only nod. Amara released her hold on him, his hands instantly flying to his manhood, to protect what was left of it should he be assaulted again. The only way Orochimaru is involved in this is that he offered Mizuki power in exchange for the scroll. He had given Mizuki a mutation formula to use to help him grow strong enough to accomplish this task on his own, but it appears he found an easier way through Naruto here. I'm merely capitalizing on the situation. Amara stated. Who are you really, and why do you want Naruto? Yamato breathed out, still trying to recover from his multiple assaults. The wolf and the fox danced together. Amara answered. She pulled out a scroll and placed it near Yamato. My mistress wants this delivered to the Hokage. It will explain more in depth why she took Naruto and why it would be in your village's best interest to leave them be. It has a blood seal on it, so only the Hokage can open it. She stood up, lightning style. Thunderstorm jutsu. The clouds above them darkened, a light rain started, and thunder roaring through the area. That ought to get their attention. Amara turned to Yamato. Check it for traps if you want, but get the Hokage to read it, and in front of the council so they can't say he fabricated it either. If my mistress finds out you didn't do this then, Amara kicks him in the jimmies, packing enough force to break some bone in both his protective hands, causing Yamato to scream in pain again. This will seem like a massage compared to what she will do to you. Remember it. Amara poofed out of existence, just as a large group of Jonin, Chunin, and Anbu burst into the clearing. After one quick glance of the area, several Anbu and Jonin quickly went to help Yamato and his squad, while the rest searched for the cause of this incident. A purple-haired Jonin walked over to Yamato, smirking. Gee Yamato, you look like shit, she said cheerfully. Yamato groaned. Better only once in a while than every day like someone I know, right Anko? He responded. Anko's eye twitched. Before she reacted to that statement, she noticed a scroll next to him. Drop something? She pointed at the scroll. Yamato shook his head. The girl who did this left it. Said for the Hokage to open it and only when the council is gathered. It should explain the incident and why she kidnapped Naruto Uzumaki YYYEOOOWWWW. Yamato screamed as Anko stomped on his abused jimmies. Well then, guess I'll have to take this back to HQ for examination. Anko said, as if she hadn't just stepped on the poor man's pride and joy. Come on, let's get you to the hospital. Worry not about our wounded comrade Mitarashi-san. A poof of smoke and a man in green spandex, orange leg warmers, and a Jonin vest appeared. For I, mighty guy, shall rush take him there while you get to the bottom of this most UNYOUTHFULL occurrence. Yamato had a look of horror on his face, while Anko had a sadistic smile on hers. Thanks guy, but you better hurry, he looks like he's about to faint from blood loss. Yosh, if I cannot reach the hospital before Yamato-san faints, I shall break 500 training posts with my buttocks. Guy yelled, before flashing a thumbs up with a sparkle in his teeth. Anko's eye was twitching rapidly now. Then you better hurry up, his eyelids are drooping. Guy quickly gathered Yamato in his arms, and dashed off, Yamato screaming as they left. Anko let out a sigh as they vanished from sight. Such an unyouthful thing to say to a woman, Anko said. Her eyes widened, and she clamped her hands over her mouth when she realized what she just said. She looked around to see if anyone heard her. Everyone was busy. She sighed in relief. Cammy, I need a drink. Sunlight shined through the blinds, and onto a certain blonde's face. Cursing the shining ball of damnation for waking him up at what he considered a time way too early, he sat up in bed. Naruto rubbed the sleep from his eyes. That was the best sleep I ever had. He thought, hey, this isn't my apartment, where am I? Naruto thought hard, trying to remember where he was, when the previous day's events flashed through his mind. That's right, I'm not in Konoha anymore, Iruka-sensei. Finally awake I see. Naruto heard. Guess I can't blame you, what with everything that's happened to you and all. Naruto looked around, before locating the voice. On the bed next to his was a girl his age. With her back to her, he could see she was probably a good foot taller than him. She had knee-length sea-green hair, and she had pointy wolf-like ears. She was currently brushing said hair with one hand, while looking at him with a hand mirror in the other. Looking at her reflection, he saw she had a heart-shaped face, violet eyes, and 6 strange swirl-like, scar-like marking from her chin to her cheeks. She gave him a toothy smile, revealing several fangs. It was at this point Naruto realized that while she had a pair of shorts on, she didn't have a shirt on, or anything on above her waist judging from her bare back. This caused Naruto to blush. Who are you? He asked. The girl frowned for a moment, before realization dawned on her. I guess it's fair you don't recognize me, after all. Last night I did have my perfect transformation jutsu on, and was wearing a mask. She answered. Naruto's eyes widened. Amara, he yelled, pointing at her. She quickly shushed him before giving him a grin. Yeah, it's me, but try to keep it down. Most people are still asleep at this time in the morning, at least non-shinobi travelers are. Amara said. Naruto nodded. Okay, I got it. Naruto said. Say, how come you're so small now? You were so much bigger yesterday? Amara put the mirror and brush down, before raising one hand to her chest. Hey, I think I'm a pretty good size for a 13-year-old. She said. Naruto quickly put together her meaning, and quickly grabbed some tissues from the desk next to his bed as he started getting a nosebleed. I didn't mean it like that. I meant you seemed more grown up last night, taller that's all. I wasn't talking about your. Naruto trailed off. Oh, I gotcha, you were asking me why I was older last night, right pervert? Right, hey, I'm not a pervert, I hate perverts. Sure you're not, that nosebleed is just some internal injury that started bleeding out when I mentioned my breasts. So sue me, I'm 13, and oh forget it. There's no point in arguing with a girl, I never win. Amara grinned at this. At least you're smart enough to realize that. Hell, I'm surprised you actually admitted that out loud. From what I've heard of you, you were stubborn to the point of stupidity. Her face softened. Of course, what happened last night is enough to affect anyone's persona. Naruto looked down at this, not saying a word. Amara reached down and grabbed a roll of bandages off the floor, before creating a familiar cross-shaped hand sign. Shadow Clone Jutsu. 2 puffs of smoke, and 2 more Amaras appeared on either side of her. The original handed one of them the bandages. The 2 clones nodded in understanding and began wrapping her chest with the bandages. Once they were finished, Amara checked it over, before nodding to them. Both clones vanished in a puff of smoke. Amara glanced over at Naruto, and seeing him look so depressed, she decided to try and get his mind off what happened. She formed a hand sign. Naruto was still mulling over everything that happened since the previous day, when he noticed some of Amara's hair near him. When he looked up, he was shocked to see Amara still sitting on the other side of the bed, and that her hair was moving on its own. The hair moved to a bag near Naruto's feet, and wrapped itself around a scroll in it. The hair pulled the scroll out of the bag and set it on the bed. The hair divided into 3 strands, 2 strands opened and held the scroll, while the third touched a seal on it. A puff of smoke erupted from the scroll, and when it cleared there was a black, sleeveless t-shirt on top of the scroll. The hair wrapped itself around the shirt, before tossing it in the air, towards Amara. Amara raised her hand and caught the shirt, quickly putting it on, and turned to see Naruto's stunned expression. What? She asked. That was so awesome. How did you do that? Is it some kind of bloodline? Can you teach me? Is it? Easy boy, Amara said. All I'm doing is focusing chakra to my hair and directing it with my thoughts. It just requires a big reserve of chakra, lots of control, and long, preferably silk-like, hair. So I can't do it? Naruto asked. Not in your current hair condition, the most you could do would be to harden those spiky locks you have. Probably to the point of being able to put cracks in boulders, but we'll have to wait and see. Amara explained. Well, I guess it's better than nothing. Naruto said. Don't worry Naruto, you'll have plenty of time to learn some cool jutsu and tricks from me. Huh? Naruto, you didn't think I would go through all the trouble of getting you out of the Leaf Village just to abandon you, did you? Naruto was silent for a moment, before he sighed. I don't know what to think about anything right now, my whole world has turned upside down. You know, talking about your problems usually helps. At this, Naruto laughs. Talking about my problems has never helped me before, I don't see why it would help me feel better now. Who did you talk to? Usually myself, sometimes old man Hokage. Hey, old man Hokage. Amara snorted. Look, the Hokage could only do so much to help you, what with the prejudice against us Jinchuriki. If he openly supported you, he would have been thrown from his position as Hokage, under the assumption of being corrupted by the demon brat. And as for talking to yourself, well it can only make things more clear for you, if only so much. But that doesn't mean it would help you. Naruto thought about Amara's insight. How do we do this? It's simple, just tell me what's bothering you and I'll tell you how it is from my perspective. Perspective? It means the way I see it. Oh. Naruto was silent for some time, but Amara was patient, and after half an hour of waiting, Naruto finally started talking. Mizuki-sensei called me a demon. You're Naruto, a demon container, not a demon. I want to believe that, but the way Amara knew what he was talking about, and sighed. Couple of things Naruto. 1. Mizuki was a traitor to your village. He tricked you into stealing an important document of the Leaf Village that, if in the wrong hands, could cause mass destruction to non-shinobi villages, or even to Konoha if it fell into one of the other major hidden villages. My point, he would have been executed anyways. 2. The Sandaime Hokage made a law preventing people from telling anyone that you are the Kyuubi container, not even telling you. That law is punishable by death. Mizuki would still be killed. 3. If you being the one to kill him is what's bothering you, then you should know it's a common reaction for first kills. Being a shinobi doesn't mean you always play the hero, sometimes you play the villain. Above all, killing will always be a part of a shinobi's life, it's a fact that all who want to be shinobi must accept, or else quit while they're ahead. 4. The way you killed him. He was your first kill, right? Nod. Well, those of us who contain demons, especially Jinchuriki, tend to get some of their demons' traits. It varies for each person and demon matched up together. However, there is one scenario that is quite common when sealing occurs. Many demons don't want to be sealed, and they emit high amounts of bloodlust and killer intent. It's not uncommon for those traits to pass on to their containers. In that case, which I'm positive you qualify under, the containers must at some point kill to satisfy our bloodlust, or at least severely injure a number of people to the point of scaring their bodies, which usually involve lots of blood pouring from the wound. My point, this is the first time in what, 12 to 13 years of your life that you actually gave into that need. It's a wonder you haven't gone insane. As to the how you killed, it was like your floodgates opened up. After all that time, of course it would be an extreme killing. It's just a matter of killing a little more often now so that the victim doesn't feel any pain, unless they deserve it. Amara went silent, giving Naruto time to soak in the explanations he just received. He finally looked up and said, "Thank you. No problem, my first kill wasn't a picnic either, same with my first kill using demonic chakra. Now then, got any other questions you need answered?" "I do, but I'm not sure you could help me with this one." Naruto felt Amara's hands on his. "Give me the chance and I'll do the best I can." Naruto smiled and nodded at this. "You saw the man who got his head?" Amara nodded, knowing who he was talking about. Out of the entire village, Iruka-sensei was always the nicest, next to the Hokage of course. I felt he was like, well, I can't help but wonder if being with Iruka-sensei was what it felt like to have a father, you know. One of those warm feelings that you never want to let go of? Amara asked. Yeah, Naruto sighed happily. His smile didn't last long, though. Back in the forest, Iruka agreed with Mizuki about me being the monster fox. Does that mean everything he did was a lie? All the times he took me out for ramen? Did he do this to hurt me like everyone else? If he did, it worked. Amara silently contemplated the best response she could. One thing seemed to stick out to her. You kept calling him Iruka-sensei. Does that mean he was your teacher? Yeah, Mizuki Teme and Iruka-sensei were my academy class teachers. At this Amara smirked. Tell me something, Naruto. Did Iruka ever drone on and on in a lecture? At this Naruto groans and falls back on the bed. Amara cocked an eyebrow at this reaction. You have no idea, it was so boring. I used to skip out on lessons like that. They were like slow torture, like being carved up by kunai, like. I get the point, Naruto. Amara said, smiling at his antics. Did you know that lecturing can become a habit for teachers? Really? Yeah, from what my enhanced hearing could pick up, when Iruka said, yeah, you're right. I'd bet you anything that he was about to go into lecture mode, give a speech about how the monster fox would use the scroll, but that you aren't the fox, that you're Naruto Uzumaki, not the fox in sheep's skin. Naruto pondered this. It did sound like something Iruka-sensei would do. He also wondered about the sheepskin comment, but decided it wasn't important. Do you really think so? I'm positive, if he really hated you, he would not have spent all that money on you. Before you ask, all Jinchuriki have very high metabolisms, or the need to eat a lot of food, so your bill would be expensive. On that note, I'm going to get us some breakfast. While I'm gone, think about what I've said. Just don't leave the room, but the bathroom is just over there if you need it. After Amara pointed it out to Naruto, she left the room. Naruto did indeed need to go, and from there started going through his morning schedule, toiletries, brush teeth, shower, breakfast. As Naruto got used to having warm water for a change, he thought about what Amara told him. Now, Naruto wasn't the sharpest kunai in the holster, but he did understand enough to realize that it wasn't his fault that he killed Mizuki like he did, and that Iruka-sensei really did care, that he had misunderstood what had been said. With that realization, Naruto felt a great weight be lifted from his shoulders. It would still be some time before he could put the incident behind him completely, but he was able to put it out of his mind for the moment, and just enjoyed the hot shower. He soon found himself asleep on the wall. Oi, Naruto. Your breakfast is getting cold, get out here. Naruto yelped in surprise, jumping at the volume of Amara's voice. As he landed, he slipped, smashing his head against the tub's faucet. Amara heard the sound of metal on bone and flesh, and quickly rushed into the bathroom. Naruto, are you okay? She yelled as she pulled back the shower curtain. Naruto was on his stomach, clutching his head, a small trickle of blood flowing through his fingers. Let me see that wound. She pulled him closer, till he was hanging over the tub, and gently pulled his fingers from the wound. Damn, that's quite the scrape, though it's not deep or life-threatening. What happened? I slipped. How? I sorta fell asleep. In the shower. It's the first time I've ever had a warm shower, and I always fall asleep in the hot springs, so. Amara just shook her head. Just how bad did you have it in Konoha, Naruto? No hot showers? How does someone, Amara? Huh? I'm kind of getting cold here and, I'm not wearing any clothes. Naruto's head was down, but Amara could see that his entire face was red. You really are so innocent, Naruto. Amara, relax, Naruto, I'm not the type to take advantage of others like this unless it's part of a mission, not that I take it that far. Besides, I prefer women over men most of the time anyways. At this, Naruto's head shot up, catching Amara in the jaw and knocking her off her feet. Amara spat out some blood, the impact had caused her to bite her tongue. She saw Naruto clutching his injury again. A little more warning before you say things like that. Amara snickered. Truly innocent. Alright, here's what we're gonna do. We'll clean that head wound of yours, grab you a towel, and I'll let you borrow a change of my clothes. No point in showering if you're just going to wear dirty clothes again. That's not true, it helps cover my scent a lot more than if I didn't shower at all. Some run-ins with some Inuzuka proved that. Amara just looked at him. That's actually true, at least he knows about stealth. Well, somewhat, that jumpsuit wasn't making it easy for him. Amara thought. Still, what would make him learn about stealth at his level? He's only an academy student, and I know Konoha's academy isn't that sophisticated in stealth training of any sort. Kami, don't let him be as bad as me. Why is she making faces like that? Naruto asked himself. She looks like she's scared of something. Amara? You okay? Amara snapped out of her thoughts. I'm fine, let's get you fixed up. She responded. Amara knelt down next to Naruto, took his head in her hands, and carefully moved it under the still-running shower. Naruto flinched, but said nothing. Amara carefully cleaned the wound, when she noticed how dirty his hair was. Damn Naruto, ever hear of a little thing called shampoo? The stores in the village always overcharged anything I would buy. The only thing I could afford was instant ramen, my jumpsuits, a couple of shuriken and kunai, and an academy school book. Even then, I still had rent to pay. Amara grabbed a bottle of shampoo from the nearby counter and started washing Naruto's hair. Did the Hokage know about this? I didn't tell him, he's done so much for me already, and he's always fight the spawn of Satan paperwork. What has he done for you? He got me an apartment, gives me a monthly allowance, enrolled me into the ninja academy, and got me out of that place. Naruto shivered at the last reference. An orphanage? Naruto flinched again. I don't want to talk about that place. He whispered. Amara nodded in understanding. She finished cleaning his wound and washing his hair, and turned off the shower. She grabbed 2 towels and handed them to him, before turning around, giving him his privacy to dry himself off. She felt him tap her on the shoulder, and when she turned around, she saw he had a towel wrapped around his waist. She gasped at what else she saw. Naruto, what happened to you? Naruto had several scars along his chest, and as he turned away, she noticed several on his back as well, some trailing down his back. Amara kicked herself for not noticing sooner. Villagers and some shinobi. Naruto mumbled. He gasped and fell to his knees as he felt a huge killer intent from nearby. The level was like nothing he'd ever felt before. With a start, he realized it was coming from Amara, whose head was facing the floor, shielding her eyes from his view. If I ever, she whispered, her voice gradually rising. If I ever come across another leaf dweller again, I swear I'll slaughter them. She gasped, however, when she felt Naruto wrap his arms around her. She looked down at him, a questioning look on her face. They're just fools, Naruto mumbled. Just stupid fools who can't see past their hate for Kyuubi, and their sorrow for the lose of their loved ones. They may not have the right to take it out on me, but it's better than if they kept their emotions bottled up inside them. Many of them could have gone crazy, they could have taken their issues out on other innocent people. The Hokage would have had to enforce stricter rules for the villagers and shinobi. Some would eventually rise up and riot, then where would the village be? Amara's mouth was open, as she gazed at the boy in her arms. She couldn't believe what she was hearing from him. But he wasn't done. I realize now that if I wasn't their punching bag, the village could have gone into turmoil, it could have destroyed itself. Then what was the point of the Yondaime's sacrifice of sealing Kyuubi in me? He sighed. One night when I was 7, a mob chased me into a dead-end alleyway. When I knew I couldn't escape, I looked into their eyes as they attacked me. I saw their hatred for me, but I also saw their pain, so much pain in their eyes. After that night, whenever I was chased, I'd always run through the streets, let them try to catch me, chase me until they dropped, and most of all, work out their frustration and pain. I never let them catch me, but a few got lucky. Amara felt something wet roll down her face, and realized her vision was blurry. She raised a hand to her face and wiped the liquid off to examine it. Tears? I'm crying. I haven't cried since found my brother 5 years ago. I've heard a lot of sad stories before, but why is this one making me cry? Pup, it's because the boy is so young. He's taken a burden that no one should have too. No one should take it all. He's suffered so much, I can see it in his eyes, but despite that, he still has a pure heart, the purest I've seen in my entire life. We need to protect him, pup. Someone like him only comes around once every few millennia. I understand Aku, but how? Do I just train him, defend him in battle, or do I just keep him away from all the trouble the wars are bringing? Leaving him out of the war isn't an option, pup. You will need to train him, but only defend him if his life is about to end. Right now he's looking to you for guidance. He's only just learned about Kyuubi-sama. He needs you to help him understand what to do now. He's opened up to you. Now you must do the same for him, so that he will know he can trust you completely. But Aku, I can't tell him my story, I barely know him. I haven't even told my brother my life story. Pup, he needs to know he's not alone, that he isn't the only one to have felt the kind of pain he has. Can you not smell it? He's been violated just as you have. Amara's eyes widened. He needs you, and I dare say you need him. Pup, don't make me pull my rank card on you. Amara sighed. Alright, I'll tell him today, just not right now. I don't want to unload this on him out of nowhere. Besides, he may still have questions that need to be answered. Very well, pup. Naruto. He looked up, she hadn't moved for the past 5 minutes, and he had been getting worried. The scroll by my bed has some spare clothes in it. Just focus some chakra into the seal that says what you want. I need a minute to calm down. I understand, was all he said. He walked back into the bedroom, closing the door for both their privacy. Amara collapsed on the toilet lid, head in her hands, trying to get a grip on her emotions. A few seconds later, she heard a cry of, "Ramen," before hearing what sounded like a savage beast devouring an animal's corpse. Amara blinked several times before a smile graced her face. She heard a chuckle from the back of her mind. Sounds like he's as badly addicted to ramen as you are to spaghetti. Oh, shut up, she giggled. Inside Amara, the four-tailed wolf, Aku, grinned. This is the first time I've ever heard her giggle like that. The boy will do wonders for my pup, I just know it. Sarutobi sighed as he read over the report Anko handed him. He had been up all night, waiting, in hopes of word that Naruto was found and retrieved, but it was not to be. Naruto was like a grandson to the Sandaime Hokage, and losing him hurt worse than a kunai through his lung, which had happened in the previous shinobi war. As he read the report, he found his mood growing worse. The kunoichi that had kidnapped Naruto had taken out a squad of his best Anbu like they were nothing. According to the report, the girl had used 2 fusion elemental jutsu, a wood style and an unheard of style, the magma style. The fact that someone outside of Konoha's influence and knowledge could use wood-styled jutsu was very unnerving, and this new fusion of earth and fire style had caused one Anbu member to retire from shinobi duty early, not to mention putting one of the Inuzuka's best nin dogs out of commission indefinitely. This led the Sandaime to one conclusion. Whoever this kunoichi was, she had skills superior to nearly all of Konoha's shinobi forces, and that finding and retrieving Naruto would be next to impossible. Sandaime-sama? Sarutobi looked up at Anko, who had a concerned look on her face. Yes, Anko? Anko struggled to find the right words to comfort her Hokage. This was the man that fought tooth and nail against the council to get her reinstated as a Konoha nin after Orochimaru threw her away like yesterday's trash. She truly wanted to help the Sandaime feel, at least somewhat, better, to ease his worried mind about the boy she knew he saw as a second grandson. Then it hit her. Sandaime-sama, you may not have been made aware of this, but the kunoichi that took Naruto left a scroll behind. From what I got from Yamato-san, it should explain why she took Naruto, and what she plans to do with him. She saw the Sandaime's head raise up, a spark of hope in his eyes. The scroll is at Anbu HQ, being examined for traps. It has a blood seal on it that, according to Yamato-san, will only open to your blood. The kunoichi requested you open it in front of the council, so as to eliminate the accusations of a fabricated scroll, at least according to the contents in it from the sounds of it. Sarutobi sat there, trying to digest the information he just received. Why was I not informed of this until just now? He finally said. Anko sputtered for a moment before she noticed a messenger bird land on the balcony outside. Sarutobi traced her gaze. When he saw the bird with a scroll tied to its leg, he immediately went out and retrieved it. After giving the bird a pat on the head, he released it and returned inside. Is this the scroll? He asked. Anko took a good look at it before nodding. The reason you weren't informed of the scroll, sir, is that everyone knows of your attachment to Uzumaki, and well, she paused, struggling once again to find the right words. You've taken care of everyone in this village personally, at one point or another, and some more so than others. I think I speak for all of us when I say we wanted to give back to you. That's why we waited to tell you about the scroll in case it was booby-trapped and not give you false hope, although we still don't know what the contents of the scroll contains. She stood there, watching as the Sandaime absorbed what she said. A small smile graced his lips. Thank you for your consideration, Anko, he said, causing Anko to smile. However, I'll ask you, nor anyone else, do this to me again. It's my duty as Hokage to protect this village, and I can't do that properly if I get misinformation or am just uninformed of something that could be critical to that situation. Understand? Yes, sir, Hokage-sama. Anko answered, a serious look on her face. I'll spread the word as well. Sarutobi nodded. Good, he stopped in mid-sentence. He quickly went through some papers on his desk, before he found the one he was looking for. He considered for a moment, looking between the paper and Anko. Actually, I have a small task for you, Anko. What is it? An A-ranked mission, prisoner interrogation, Rock Lee drinking sake again. Sarutobi chuckled at that last one. No, nothing that bad. As you know, today is the day we assign new squads for the latest academy graduating class. Yeah, if I recall, you wanted me to try and take on a team this time. Yes, I have a team assigned to you, but you still get to orchestrate the true genin exam to actually take the team. This leads to my point. Sarutobi said. Right now the other academy teachers are filling in Iruka's and Mizuki's teaching positions today, so I'd like you to announce the squads for the graduating class. Anko grinned at this. You know I won't go easy on them. She said. I don't want you to. Anko cocked an eyebrow. This generation may be the best the Leaf has had for many generations. They need some idea of what is out there, what they may face someday, and most of all, what they are getting themselves into. Understand? Completely, sir. I'll make certain those maggots know their place in the shinobi world. Sarutobi chuckled. Good, here's the team arrangements. Dismissed. Anko vanished in a whirl of leaves. When the room went silent, Amara peeked out from the bathroom door. The sight that greeted her was not what she expected. Ramen stains were all over the room, on the walls, the floor, even the ceiling. Naruto himself was laying in the biggest stain, only clad in a pair of black shinobi pants, a few stray noodles covering his face. Naruto sighed happily as he rubbed his slightly bulging stomach. The maid's not gonna be happy about this, Amara stated, as she walked over to Naruto. Said boy chuckled nervously, rubbing the back of his head. Sorry about that, Amara-chan. All the recent events must have caught up to me because when I saw the ramen, I suddenly felt so hungry that I'd die if I didn't get all the ramen. I get the point, Amara said, massaging her forehead, and trying to ignore the voice laughing at her in the back of her head. Ha ha ha, Amara-chan, ha ha ha, shut up, I'm trying to work here. Fine, fine, sob, they grow up so quickly. Amara groaned as she sat at the edge of the nearest bed. Naruto, concerned, went over to her. He sat down behind her and rubbed her back. Focusing some chakra through his hand, he forced it to make contact with Amara's skin through her shirt, and to spread through her body. Amara gasped as she felt Naruto's hands rub her back, all her muscles slowly relaxing under his magic touch. Naruto. What are you doing, G? Amara struggled to keep coherent thought. The sensation she felt was completely new to her. She fell into a state of complete bliss. Back in Konoha, whenever the girls in my academy class felt bad, I mean like stomach pains or headaches, they'd come to me, and I'd use what they'd call my magic fingers to help ease them through their pain. In exchange, they'd stop beating on me whenever Sasuke and I got in a fight. Well, most of them anyways. Naruto explained, as he moved down her back. Magic fingers indeed, hee. Shut you Kami. They'd each come at least once a month, usually the same time they each did last month, complaining about cramps I think. Say Amara-chan, what are cramps anyways? At this, Amara's face flushed several different shades of red. Naruto, that's AL lady thing, CRA amps. If why you really want to know, read a medical textbook. At this, Naruto stopped rubbing her back. Amara, panting heavily, turned to see Naruto looking away. Naruto, what's wrong? Mumble. I didn't quite catch that. I can't mumble. Still didn't get all that. Third time's the charm. I can't read. Amara just stared at him. You can't read? I can't read. I can only copy signs that I know well enough, and don't get me started on swimming. Naruto sighed. I really am the dead last of the class. Shikamaru Nara, one of my few friends, actually had the lowest scores of the class, but it was because he was too lazy to put pen to paper, said it was too troublesome. He could still read and write and swim. Hey, that became apparent when Ino shoved him into the river on that class field trip. Amara stared at him, thoughts racing through her head. No one taught him how to read or write. Swimming is understandable, but reading and writing are necessities of life, especially if he wanted to be a shinobi. It looks like I've got my work cut out for me, though the first thing I need to do is stop these mood swings of his. It'll be hard enough to work with him as is, and with only a month before I need to get back, sigh. You know pup, if he was a woman, it would probably be his time of month for having cramps right now. Amara's eyes widened in shock at hearing that statement. At this, Aku roared with laughter at his cantainer's face. Not that it would matter if he was a man or a woman for you though, right pup? Amara growled at the jab of her UAL preferences, causing Aku to now roll with laughter in his small prison. Aku, I know you're going into UAL withdraw from being away from your new mate for so long, but that doesn't mean I'm going to put up with your remarks about my interests. I mean I just met him for Christ's sake. You may outrank me, but we're still connected, so I can still shut you up. Go ahead and try pup, you can't tmmmhhmmmmmmmmnnn. Aku was now rolling around his den with a muzzle on. He tried clawing at it with his paws, but soon found himself hog-tied with his own four tails. Amara, wake up. Naruto was frantically shaking an unresponsive Amara, whose eyes had glazed over and hadn't moved in 10 minutes, hardly breathing. Crap. What am I supposed to do? Think, what did Iruka-sensei say to do when someone's not breathing? That's it. Mouth-to-mouth recess or something. I have to lay her on her back, push back her head carefully, pinch her nose and I hope she doesn't hit me. Naruto carefully pushed Amara onto her back, tipped her head back, pinched her nose, and took a deep breath. His face moved closer and closer to hers, and just as his mouth reached hers, Amara's eyes shifted back into focus. She quickly grabbed him by the throat, lifted his face from hers, shifted her foot to his chest, and flipped him clear off the bed, over the second bed, and onto the floor. What the fuck were you doing? Amara screamed at the poor boy. You weren't moving for a while, I thought you stopped breathing. Naruto yelled back, I was only trying to help. By trying to kiss me? No, I wouldn't steal your first kiss like that. I was trying to do mouth-to-mouth recess or something or other because I thought you stopped breathing. I didn't want to lose you, not after everything you've done for me. Amara took several deep breaths to calm herself down. She was quiet for a few moments. Alright, I'll forgive you this time. The reason I didn't respond was because I was dealing with Aku. Your demon? Was he trying to take over your body? Oh god, you don't think Kyuubi will try to take over my body, do you? Calm down, Naruto. Aku is like a father to me, okay? He's not trying to take over my body, he was just annoying me about how good a mate you'd be for me. What does mate mean? Husband or wife in animal and demon terms. I don't think Kyuubi can take over your body unless you let it, not with how sophisticated your seal is. Phew, that's a relief. An awkward silence filled the room for the next few minutes, before Naruto thought of something. Hey Amara, what? You said my seal was something, does that mean our seals are different? Naruto noticed Amara's surprise at the question. This could be my chance, I can tell my story, satisfying my current pain in the ass, and explain why I took him from the leaf. Well, here I go. Naruto, in order to explain this, I'll have to tell you how I became a Jinchuriki and about myself. If you don't want to talk about yourself, I understand. Amara smiled at this. I don't mind at all, you've told me quite a bit about yourself after all. It'll also give me a chance to explain why I took you from the Leaf Village. Naruto's eyes widened as Amara's entire demeanor changed. By explaining this, I can tell you just what's going to happen to you, what's expected from you, and what destiny has in store for you. Amara reached into her pocket and pulled out a large cube of paper. Focusing some chakra into it, it split into 6 different sheets, each with some seals on them. The papers rose from Amara's hand and flew to each of the room's surfaces, the floor, ceiling, and walls. Each of them flashed with a blue light that covered the room. Once the light faded, Amara turned to Naruto. Silencing seals, anything said in here can't be heard from the outside. What I'm about to say can't leave this room, understand? Amara saw Naruto nod and nodded herself. Good, then let's begin. Today was the big day for 26 young students. It's the Academy graduation day, where the 26 students that passed the graduation exam get placed on different teams and begin their true shinobi journey. Everyone had made it to the classroom and were currently surrounding, of all people, Kiba Inuzuka, who was telling everyone he could the info he got early that morning. So yeah, this kick-ass kunoichi snuck into the village last night, kidnapped some civilian, then beat up a whole Anbu unit and left. I heard she didn't even get a scratch. No way. And just how would you know about this, Mutt? Ino asked, smirking. Kiba smirked back. My aunt was in the Anbu unit that was beaten. She won't be able to walk for 2 months, which is a lot better than her partner Tez. He won't be on active duty ever again. Kiba answered. What did this kunoichi look like? Ino asked. trying to get as much info as possible for the gossip vine. She wore black clothes and a mask that completely concealed he. That's a pretty big word for a mutt, sure you know what it means? Ino teased. Kiba growled. Of course I do, it means covered up. Kiba growled. Now then, where was I? Oh right, concealed her face and her head, so the Anbu don't know what she looks like. Judging by how tall she was, my aunt figured she was 15, 16 tops. Did she specialize in a certain field? Sasuke asked as he walked down from his seat. Why do you want to know? Kiba eyed the last Uchiha wearily. Who doesn't? Was Sasuke's response. Most of the class and all the fangirls agreed. Kiba sighed. Probably ninjutsu. My aunt didn't say, but from what I saw of Tez, his leg was melted to the bone, had bits of earth fused to his bones too. Poor pup, heard him yowling all night. It wasn't enough of an answer to satisfy Sasuke, but it did pique his curiosity. I don't know of any fire jutsu that could fuse earth to a solid surface, at least not a single jutsu. Sasuke thought out loud. How many jutsu were used for that effect? He demanded. Only one, and how would you know any more than I do about fire jutsu? We both live in Konoha and we both just graduated, what makes you think you're so special? Kiba growled before getting slammed face first into the desktop, courtesy of Sakura's fist. Don't talk like you're better than Sasuke-kun. She yelled. Sasuke is the rookie of the year, which means he's better than you and everyone else here. He's an Uchiha, and the Uchiha clan specializes in fire jutsu, more so than your clan of mutts. Kiba was on his feet in an instant. How dare you, calling my clan a bunch of mutts? Unforgivable. Call my clan mutts again and I'll drop you on your oversized forehead, girl or not. A tick mark appeared on Sakura's forehead as she started yelling at Kiba, who yelled right back. Sasuke sighed, sitting on the edge of a nearby desk. The meaningless argument was giving him a headache, and as he was about to step in to stop it, he suddenly felt a weight on his lap. When he looked, it was Ino, who had a smile on her face. Giving you a headache? Don't worry, I got something that should get them to settle down, though you should listen to. Ino told him. Before Sasuke could say or do anything to get her off him, Ino spoke. That Anbu attack is interesting and all, but I think Naruto breaking into the Hokage's tower is a whole lot more interesting. Kiba and Sakura stopped fighting at once to look at Ino, wanting her to tell her story. Several more tick marks appeared on Sakura's forehead as she noticed Ino's position, but gasped as Sasuke placed his hands on Ino's shoulders and began giving her a massage. The Dobi broke into the Hokage's tower? This I've got to hear. Everyone in the room agreed, including a reluctant Sakura. Last night, Naruto broke into the tower to steal something called the Forbidden Scroll of Sealing. I'm not sure precisely what's on it, but it's said to have been written in by all four of the Hokages, so I can only assume it has some powerful jutsu on it. Ino explained, thoroughly enjoying the special treatment she was receiving from her crush. Murmurs of agreement ran through the classroom on Ino's assessment. So, did the Dobi get the scroll? I highly doubt it. Actually, he did get the scroll, and guess who he got by to get it? Probably some Jonin that was half asleep. Nope, it was a fully awake Sandaime Hokage. At this, Sasuke stopped massaging Ino's back, a look of disbelief on his face. How the hell did he do that? I couldn't tell you, but he did get the scroll and escape into the forest near the village wall. Ino's tone changed here. From what my sources tell me, Iruka-sensei and Mizuki-sensei found him. What exactly happened during the meeting is very tight-lipped, but the end result was Iruka-sensei being beheaded by Mizuki's shuriken and Mizuki-sensei being burned alive. Everyone present gasped at this. The scroll was retrieved, but no one is saying anything about what happened to Naruto. The room was silent for a few moments. The council wants him executed. All eyes in the room turned to Sakura. There was a council meeting last night and my mom is a part of it. Mom was so excited, calling Naruto a traitor. She has strongly supported the motion to get Naruto executed, but no one knows where he is. A sob was heard, everyone turned to see Hinata with her head in her hands, her shoulders bobbing up and down with each sob. Ino got off Sasuke's lap, a sure sign of the apocalypse, and hugged Hinata. Don't worry Hinata, they won't execute Naruto. We all know how gullible he is, he was probably manipulated into stealing the scroll. The council will realize this and give him a mild punishment. Hinata removed her hands from her face and looked at Ino. The look on her face was heart-wrenching. Why you're wrong. She stuttered. You haven't seen the looks the villagers give him, they've always hated him, they beat him, even before he started pranking people. He wanted to become Hokage so people would respect him. Now he may never. Hinata cried on Ino's shoulder. Everyone looked on in wonder. It had been obvious the girl had a crush on him, but to this extent? That's stupid. Everyone gasped as they listened to Sakura. No one would hate him without a reason, much less beat him without one. I know you like him, Hinata, but even if he was being manipulated, he still stole an important document of our village, and even got through the Hokage to do it. Then there's the fact that our senseis are dead, someone's got to take the blame for it. I can understand that you're trying to gain support for Naruto, but he's just not someone people would get behind. Anything that happens will happen. No sooner did those last words leave her mouth did Sakura crumble to the floor, gasping as she held her stomach as Hinata stood over her, Byakugan active and palms still outstretched. You don't know anything, Hinata screamed. Naruto works harder than anyone here to gain recognition, to prove he's not the demon everyone is convinced he is. They blame him for the Kyuubi attack just because he was born on the same day. I've always watched him, I've seen what he's had to go through, especially what those monsters at the orphanage did to him. No one should have to go through the crap this village has given him. Hinata was breathing heavily as everyone just stared at her. The shy and peaceful girl had just struck someone in anger and screamed at them, "Wouldn't you stare?" Hinata felt a hand on her shoulder and was about to attack the person when they caught her hands. That's enough, Hinata, Anko firmly stated. Hinata gasped as she realized who she was speaking to, and let her hands drop to her side as Anko released them. I'm sorry, Anko-san, She struggled to find the right words. Anko placed her hands on Hinata's shoulders and forced her to look her in the eyes. I understand, Hinata, you've put up with enough crap with your family, and just snapped after what Sakura here said. Everyone has their limits and you've reached yours. Now then, why don't you go freshen up in the bathroom, you look like shit. Anko told her, smiling at the end. Hinata gave a small smile before nodding and leaving the room. Anko straightened up. Alright, you maggots, get to your seats and shut the hell up, that's an order. She yelled, releasing a little killing intent so the class would take her seriously. The class scrambled to their seats, except Sakura, who was still on the ground clutching her stomach. Let me have a look at that. Anko leaned Sakura against the front of one of the desks and placed a hand on her head. Purple chakra outlined Sakura's body. It vanished after a few seconds and Anko nodded to herself. You got a cracked rib, but you'll live. I'll take you to the nurse after we're done here. She lifted Sakura up and helped her into an empty seat before walking to the front of the room. Alright, maggots, I can see what the Hokage said about you being the best group of graduates in a long while. Your information gathering skills are good, but don't let that get to your heads, it's only one of the necessary fields. What you've been discussing is classified as Class S information and will not be repeated outside this room under punishment of death, got it? She released a large amount of killing intent at the end, causing the genin to squirm and agree not to speak about it, except for one person. That person who attacked the Anbu. They kidnapped Naruto, didn't they? Sasuke stated more than questioned. Everyone gasped at this and looked between Sasuke and Anko. What makes you say that shit, Stain? She asked, curious at how he figured it out. Sasuke's eye twitched at her nickname for him. I've seen the hate-filled glares of the villagers directed at Naruto as well. If he was being held prisoner, the village would be celebrating right now. He explained. Despite being an academy student, Naruto is still considered a civilian until he passes the genin exam, same as everyone else. Another thing, if the Dobi really did get past the Hokage to get the scroll, it means he does have some potential as a shinobi, so it only makes sense that the Kunoichi would take him. Anko grinned at him. Not bad shit, Stain, but that's irrelevant to why we're here today. We're here too. I think the well-being of a comrade is relevant. Sasuke spoke, causing several classmates to gasp. Not only did he call Naruto a comrade, which was a shock considering how much the two fought, but he just interrupted the scary lady who was obviously not afraid to harm anyone who didn't follow her orders. Anko stared at him for a moment, before making a hand sign. Sasuke suddenly felt himself tied to his seat by a large and round buckle. When the buckle came into view, however, it was a snake's head he saw. The snake hissed at him, opened its mouth to its full extent, before snapping it shut just inches from Sasuke's face, causing the boy to shrink back into his chair. You might be in the council's favor just because you have the possible ability to use the Sharingan, but that means shit to me. You'd do well to remember that. Anko told him. Was Naruto the one taken? Sasuke asked again. The snake moved towards his face and ran its tongue across his face, before hacking some saliva to the floor. Must not taste too good for Kazu to spit like that. Anko noted. If it'll shut you up, then yes, Naruto was the one taken. The reports say he looked traumatized over something and wasn't putting up any resistance against the kunoichi. How troublesome. Shikamaru spoke for the first time. All eyes turned to him. Losing Iruka-sensei is probably what traumatized him. Sigh. Oh well, guess I'll just have to train more to go search for him. Question marks appeared in everyone's thought bubble in the room. You really want to find Naruto-kun? Everyone turned to see Hinata at the door. Yeah, he may be a troublesome guy, but he's a true friend, and an even better person at heart. If there's anyone I'd work towards finding, he'd be at the top of my list. Shikamaru answered. Same here. Kiba said, his dog Akamaru agreeing with a bark. I concur. Shino surprisingly said. Definitely. Now everyone was staring at Ino. Sakura just nodded, not wanting to get on Hinata's bad side again. Count me in too. Choji announced. Me too. Sasuke told them, eyeing the snake warily, which didn't respond, surprisingly to him speaking this time. Hinata smiled and nodded her head. We'll train hard so we can find Naruto and bring him home, where he belongs. That statement was met with cheers from the other 7 genin. Well, it's good to have goals, but you'll have to become genin first before you can begin to accomplish it. Anko informed them. That turned the heads of everyone in the room. But we already are genin, we completed the graduation exam and are here for team placement. Sakura stated, before wincing in pain at her cracked rib flared up. Not quite, Anko said. The graduation exam is only a test to see if you have what it takes to become a genin. It's up to your Jonin sensei if you become a genin. There is usually a 66% chance of failing the true genin exam, so usually only 1 or 2 teams make it through while the rest are sent back to the academy or dropped from the program altogether. Everyone gasped at this. The shinobi world isn't a world just anyone can enter, at least not and survive. You have to be willing to work hard, do things you don't want or feel comfortable doing at times, things like torturing someone for information vital to your mission's success, or having to kill a friend who has betrayed your village. For the record, Naruto does not fall under that category. If there is one thing you absolutely must prepare to do in your shinobi career, male or female, you must be prepared to kill, and not just out of defense either. Every one of you will kill at some point, it's a simple fact. If you don't want to, then either quit now or try to become a medical ninja, though you will still be dealing with death and ruined life, so it's not much of an alternative. For those of you fangirls and fanboys, if you don't take your job as a shinobi seriously, you, your squad, and your dog will die, simple as that. No, I'm not targeting you and your mutt. Now then, if you are a fangirl or boy, get your ass in gear and train, become a strong member of your squad capable of holding your own in a fight, or else you will drag your squad down with you. If you only intended to become ninja to gain someone's attention, either train to become strong, or quit while you're ahead. We shinobi have no tolerance for fans seeking attention. Anko finished. She gave the class a minute to let the information sink in and see if anyone would leave. No one did. Well, now that that's out of the way, let's get on with team placements. Team 1 is. This continued until she reached. Team 7, Sakura Haruno, Ino Yamanaka, and Hinata Hyuga. Your Jonin sensei is, yours truly. Anko crackled with glee as Sakura and Ino banged their heads on the desktop, while Hinata just looked sad. Don't look so down, Hinata. Kurenai couldn't take this team because she was chosen for a 4-month mission, so she asked the Hokage and me to take her place. You'll see her when I ask for some help with genjutsu training, that is if you pass the test. Hinata smiled at this and nodded, a look of determination on her face. Now where was I? Oh, right, Team 8 consists of Shikamaru Nara, Choji Akamichi, Shino Aburame, and Kiba Inuzuka, due to the odd number of graduates. Hey, what about me? One student shouted. What team am I on? Sasuke demanded, before backing up as the snake nearly bites his nose off. You, kid, have been chosen as the apprentice of our stealth specialist in Anbu, so have fun with that. As for you shit stain, you've also been chosen as an apprentice to Kakashi Hitaki. Who's that? Sakura asked. Sasuke leaned forward to hear as well, but quickly backed up as the snake nearly bit off his ear. He's just some one-eyed scarecrow who walks around town with his nose in a porno book, not really worth mentioning. Anko replied. Before Sasuke could yell any protests, she continued. Alright, everyone will stay here and wait for your Jonin-sensei, Team 7, let's get Sakura to the nurse to fix her up. Anko stalked over to Sakura, picked her up, and threw her over her shoulder like a sack of potatoes, and walked out of the room with Sakura screaming curses at the woman, Ino and Hinata quickly following. Hey, do something about this damn snake! Sasuke roared. The snake looked him in the eye, before moving its head level with Sasuke's crotch. A scream of agony rang out through the entire Leaf Village. Good, then let's begin. Amara said. The first thing you must understand is that I'm not the first Jinchuriki of the four-tailed wolf. 13 years ago, AKU's last container was captured by shinobi of the Hidden Twilight Village. I've never heard of the Hidden Twilight Village. Amara nodded at this. Few have. It was a secret village, one that used elemental jutsu of light and darkness. It was a powerful village, but they didn't want to be known until they could hold their own against the strongest of the hidden villages. At the time it was the Leaf Village. Amara explained. Now I'll ask that you don't interrupt me again, Naruto. I'll answer your questions after I'm done, but we're on a time restraint here, so the quicker I finish this, the sooner we can start your training, got it? Got it. Good, now where was I? Oh yeah, AKU's container was captured by Twilight Shinobi. Anyways, Aku was extracted from his container by the Twilight Nin, and when a tailed beast is extracted from their container, the container dies. Naruto never finishes, after seeing the glare Amara gives him. He motions for her to continue talking. Yes, they die. When Aku was extracted he was sealed in a statue for 6 months. The village started looking for a suitable host for him. That's when they heard a rumor about descendants of the Hidden Miracle Village being nearby. The Hidden Miracle Village was said to be the single strongest village in the history of shinobi villages, that it took all the elemental nations combined to take it down, not because they threatened anyone, but because of the threat they represented. The Kekkei Genkais of the Hidden Miracle Village were said to have been bestowed upon them by both Kami and Satan, and all of them were powerful. To the Twilight Nin's delight, they just happened to find descendants of the village's royal family, known for their elemental Kekkei Genkai, and one of them was expecting soon. They attacked and took the woman, not before losing all but 2 of their 30 Jonin squad members. When she gave birth, Aku was sealed in her daughter, Mi. Shortly after, they killed her. Oh Amara. Naruto moved to hug her, but she held out a hand, stopping her. I don't need that yet. She explained. Now then, my Kekkei Genkai allows me to gain immunity to elements, gain chakra element affinities, and possibly complete mastery over elements. It's not something that just happens, though. In order to gain those abilities, you must be exposed to the raw elements, and in high doses too. With my Kekkei Genkai, and AKU's ability to give his container elemental manipulation abilities, I was the perfect match for him. The village did their homework on the effects of Demon Yuki on humans and on containers. They realized that it can shorten the life of both regular humans and containers exponentially by being exposed to just a small amount, so when they sealed Aku, they designed the seal to convert his Yuki in chakra that was safe for me to use. Simply put, Aku is a battery of chakra, and I can't run out of it unless I go for a week without rest or food. Amazing. Yeah, I guess. Anyways, when I turned 4, my kunoichi training began. They drilled me hard, and when I was 5, I was at least genin level. That's when the village leader decided it was time to train my Kekkei Genkai. At the time, I didn't know anything about the village killing my family, so I was loyal to them. They warned me there would be no turning back once I started training, and I was nervous, so we started with the water element as a test, to see what to expect. For 6 hours a day, I would sit under a waterfall, channeling my chakra through the water half the time. This lasted for 3 months. By the end of that time, I had total immunity to water jutsu, an affinity for learning water jutsu, and complete mastery over any form of water near me. I was so happy. The village leader said he was proud of my progress and asked me if I wanted to continue this type of training. I eagerly agreed, until I learned the next element was fire. Why would she be upset about controlling fire? Wait a sec, she said she had to be exposed to the raw element, and exposed means feel, or something like that, right? Naruto asked himself. Then his eyes widened. Oh Kami, please tell me they didn't do that to her. I see you figured it out. Amara said, watching the expressions flash across Naruto's face. The next part of training was to burn me. They'd usually burn one part of my body at a time. Due to the dangers of this method, they would only burn me for a half an hour a day, different parts each day. Aku would heal me, but it would take a full day to regain use of that body part. I'd begged them to stop, but they never listened. One guy actually let me burn for an hour, enjoying how I screamed in pain. It was a turn on for him, the way he was rubbing his pants like that. 5 months later, I had the immunity and affinity for fire. When they told me the next element was wind, I flat out refused to cooperate and ran away. I was found the next morning and suffered the worst beating of my life, at least at that time. Amara noticed Naruto's eyes were turning red. She quickly grabbed a slip of paper and slapped it on his knee. Naruto's eyes changed back to their ocean blue color. What did you just do? Naruto asked, feeling drained all of a sudden. That's a suppression seal. This kind suppresses demon Yuki, and Kyuubi's Yuki started to leak out when you were getting upset. The silencing seals don't prevent chakra from being felt from the outside, and the same could be said for Yuki. We're still on the run from Leaf Nin, so it's best not to take chances. Amara explained. How are you still normal? Naruto asked. Who said I was? Amara responded. Anyways, when I recovered from my beatings, the village leader decided it wasn't enough of a punishment since I could easily heal. So he changed my training from wind element to lightning. They'd tie me down to a table, put little knobs to my skin, and run hundreds of volts of electricity through my body. I'd scream for them to stop, but they never did. One day, most of the workers had other duties to attend to, so the village leader had one of his best shinobi take over for the day. Guess who it was? Who? As fate would have it, I made more progress that day with that monster than I did all month. The leader assigned that monster to finish my lightning training. He started attaching the knobs all over my body then, my face, my breast, my rear, between my legs. When the final day of my training came, he had me hung by a chain from the ceiling. He stuck little lightning rods into my lower parts. It nearly killed me. You know what his punishment was? He got suspended from his duties for a month, with pay. 2 months of hell got me immunity, affinity, and mastery over lightning. If I ever find that son of a bitch, I'll kill him. That's a promise, Naruto declared, staring Amara square in the eye. Amara chuckled before shifting around so that she was now on Naruto's lap, and leaned into his embrace. Don't worry, the bastard's dead. Aku ate him. Amara answered. It was because of that incident that I met Aku, and he explained everything to me. What I was, why I was chosen, what the village planned for me. At that point I wanted to die, and Aku said he understood. He stopped healing me after that. When it was time for wind training, they threw me into a wind tunnel. I'd be bouncing off the walls, bashing different body parts against the metal surfaces. Hey, I was a bloody mess after the 3 hours in there. They just threw me in bed, expecting me to be healed the next morning. Boy were they shocked when they saw how bloody the sheets were the next morning. They rushed me to the hospital, where the medical ninjas managed to save me. The leader demanded to know why I hadn't been healed by Aku, and when they examined me, they saw Aku was stopping his Yuki from healing me. He called the village seal master and explained the situation to him. The seal master added a seal over the one that held Aku in me, one that forced Aku's Yuki to heal me if I was ever injured, even without his permission. Amara felt Naruto shaking with rage. The suppression seal on his leg was beginning to burn off, so Amara stuck 3 more on him. The burning stopped. It was at that point the village leader realized that Aku was willing to die, just to save me from the hell I was forced to endure. He decided it was time I got control of Aku. He needed me to be loyal to him and the village, and the only way he saw me doing that was by breaking me completely and then molding me to his image. About a year later, I had affinity, immunity, and mastery over wind, and affinity and immunity over earth. I was 6 going on 7, and when my birthday came along, he let his men have their way with me, all day. Naruto gasped at this. They put suppression seals on me, to keep Aku from getting loose and prevent me from using chakra. They paraded me around the village naked, a choker leash around my neck, and a fake wolf tail shoved partway up my rear. All day I was forced to crawl on all 4s, eat from a dish on the floor, let kids ride on my back. I fought back when I could, but the choker chain was too much for me to bear, not to mention the beatings I took as well. When night came, they tied me down to a bed and Amara shuddered for a moment, before she turned around and hugged Naruto tightly, burying her head in his chest. They raped me, 3 at a time. They did it for hours. With the seals on me, I couldn't even retreat into Aku's cage for comfort. Amara broke down in tears, crying loudly into Naruto's chest. Naruto, having never been in a situation like this, chose to follow his gut instincts. He tightened his hold on her, rubbed her back, and whispered soothing words in her ear. About a half hour later, she finally quieted down, just rocking back and forth in Naruto's arms. This continued for several more minutes before she pulled herself up, so she could look Naruto in the eye. "Thank you, Naruto, you have no idea how long I've needed that. Anytime you need me, I'll be here for you. No one should have to go through what you did, and I don't blame you for wanting to die either. If I ever find anyone from the Twilight Village, I'll kill them. I'll make certain they can't do to others what they did to you. That's a promise of a lifetime, believe it. Don't worry about it, Naruto, they're already dead." "Huh? Let me continue my story. You don't have to, Amara, you've said more than enough already. I still have more, and I need to finish this now or I never will. Please Naruto, let me finish," Amara begged. Naruto was silent for a few moments, before he finally nodded. "Thanks Naruto. You're the best." This caused Naruto to blush. "Okay then." Those monsters continued having their way with me for about a month before I was completely broken. I only listened to their orders from then on, tuning Aku out, despite him having my best interests at heart, all in fear of being hurt again. When the leader realized that I was broken, he started molding me into the perfect weapon. I started learning ninjutsu, genjutsu, and taijutsu from the best shinobi in the village. The leader himself trained me in getting light and darkness elemental affinities. 2 years later, I was 9 and in the SHADE, the Twilight Village's equivalent to the Leaf Anbu Black Ops. For 6 months I had a 100% success rate on missions, until I met him. Who? You've probably heard of him. His name is Itachi Uchiha. Sasuke's older brother? Yeah, my Shade Patrol stumbled upon him by accident. One of our agents recognized him from the bingo book. We engaged him, but despite it being 20-on-1, he still managed to keep things at a standstill. That is, until he unleashed his Mangekyo Sharingan. In mere seconds the squad was dead, burning under black flames. Hey, I still remember the look on his face when I got up and walked towards him. I remember staring him in the eye before passing out. A few days later I woke up in a grove, tied to a tree, unable to summon any chakra or yuki. The conversation we had was quite interesting. Flashback. Amara's Pav. I groaned as I slowly came to. When I finally became awake enough, my training instincts kicked in. I could feel my arms and legs restrained and stretched, most likely to a tree judging by the feel of it. I could still feel the tattered remains of my shade uniform, though my wolf mask was gone. Finally awake, I see, a calm, deep voice said. I could tell he was in front of me as I heard a small chuckle. My, seeing those ears of yours twitch is quite the sight. I slowly opened my eyes, blinking a few times to get used to the light. I must have been out for a while, it doesn't usually take this long to see clearly. 3 days, pup. You've been out of it for 3 days. I thought I locked you away. Get back to your cell, you overgrown mutt. I tried the mental exercises I had learned to suppress his presence, but it wasn't working for some reason. Sorry pup, but your defenses have been down for 3 days, more than enough time to place my own defenses in place to counter yours. You've ignored me for too long pup, now you are going to listen. For a moment I was stunned, before I redoubled my efforts to silence him. No, never again. The last time I listened to you, my comrades punished me. I never want that to happen again. Wait, I failed my patrol. Leader said I'd suffer if I failed any mission, oh Kami. They're gonna do that to me again. No, wait, if I hurry back and explain what happened, they'll understand. They always have whenever I've battled S-class ninjas before. Haha, I'll be safe. Now all I have to do is get back to the village and you'll do no such thing. I gasped at the volume of his voice. I've never heard Aku yell like that. You are never to return to serve that village ever again. I refuse to let an innocent pup like you suffer any more than you have already. Now you are going to lay back, stay calm, and listen to what this man has to say, or I will make certain you never use chakra again. I gulped, even though he would be forced to heal any injury incurred to me. I knew his healing significantly dropped my lifetime. There was no way he could stop me from using chakra, so that would mean I'd die, and wouldn't be able to serve the noble Twilight Village. I couldn't let that happen, so I just nodded, and looked at the man before me. He wore a black shirt with a fishnet underneath, black shinobi pants, some black shinobi sandals, and a leaf forehead protector, only with a slash going through the leaf symbol. I knew from my shade training that it marked one's betrayal to their village. "Done talking to Aku?" he asked. I nodded again, a frown firmly on my face. "Good, now then, let's begin." It only took me a moment to realize what he meant. With a whimper, I stretched my legs as far apart as they could go. Just get it over with, quick," was all I could say as I clenched my eyes shut. I heard Aku growl in the back of my mind. "What are you doing?" Itachi asked me. I could hear the puzzlement in his voice. "Why, you're going to rape me, right? That's the only reason I'm alive. The only use I'd be to you, right?" I asked him, clenching my fists tightly and my eyes shut. I hear him gasp at my statement. Before I feel his fist impact my stomach, I hack out saliva as I cough, trying to catch my breath. As I open my eyes, I find myself face to face with him, his eyes now crimson red, 3 tomo spinning rapidly, in anger if the look on his face is any indication. I found I couldn't look away from those eyes. I consider rape the ultimate sin, Amara. I'll never use it, not for interrogation, not for torture, not for punishment, and absolutely not for pleasure. "Understand?" he calmly yet firmly asked. I could only nod. "Good, now then, your wolf has been awfully concerned about your behavior and well-being. He's asked me to free you from the bonds that tie you to the hidden Twilight Village." I snort at this. "Good luck with that, I'll never betray my village. They trained me when everyone called me a monster and wanted me dead. I owe them my life. I'll never betray them. What of your punishments? I doubt you enjoy being beaten and raped." I flinch at that. He's right, but I'm not giving up. That hasn't happened in over a year, and when I bring them your head, there won't be any problem. I flare my chakra, focus it to my arms and legs, and strain to get loose from my bonds. As I feel the rope begin to give, Aku flares his yuki through my body, something I've never experienced before. It wasn't the worst pain I've ever felt, but it was enough to break my concentration. The yuki overpowers my chakra, keeping it suppressed. I hang limp on my bonds for a few moments, before Itachi's hand cups my chin, and forces me to look him in the eye. "You still lost your squad. Even with my head, you'd still be punished," he said. He was right, I did lose my squad, some of the best in the hidden Twilight Village. But this is the man who wiped out his own clan, the famed Uchiha clan. Certainly they would understand. Bringing back Itachi's head would put the hidden Twilight Village on the map. "We are ready for it," leader said so himself. I voiced this to Itachi, who laughed. "How foolish, do you really believe after the quality of the shinobi lost to me that the village would want recognition? That they would be able to defend themselves from other villages, and replace the shinobi they lost so easily? I think not," he said in that thrice damned calm voice. He was making too many good points, but I was loyal to my village, so I did the only thing I could. "I'm not listening to you. La. I continued this for several minutes, and I could mentally see both Itachi and Aku sweat drop. Suddenly, his hand clamped firmly over my jaw, silencing me. "While it appears we've made some progress, I can see your village has brainwashed you into believing they are noble and just. Aku, I believe I have no choice." I felt yuki flood my head, forcing it to bob up and down, nodding to Itachi's statement. I saw the 3 tomo in his eyes change, they merged together into a 3-edged shuriken-like shape. "Tsukuyomi," he murmured as he forced me to stare into his eyes. The world around me faded away till everything was pitch black. With a start, I realized I could move again. A lot of good that will do me here, I thought. I walked forward a few steps before I felt shackles lock on my wrists, ankles, waist, and neck. Before I could do anything, the chains attached to the shackles pulled me backwards. When I land, I find myself on a table, arms and legs spread wide, my restraints becoming welded into the metal table. For the next 72 hours, you will relive every negative experience you've been through in the hidden Twilight Village. Itachi's voice rings out, seemingly from every direction. I search for him, but can only look up, where I see several dark light bulbs, then a small hole in the center one of them. Through that, I see a red moon in a dark sky. Before I can consider what this means, I feel a searing pain shoot through my right arm. I cry out in pain, catching a glimpse at what's causing my pain. I see the face of the one man I fear, holding a burnt match and a can of gasoline over my burning arm. This can't be real. My Kekkei Genkai prevents me from feeling any pain from fire, or any of the elements now. This is just a genjutsu, I should be able to break it. This pain is not real, it's not. I focus my chakra to try and break the genjutsu. To my relief, Aku doesn't interfere, but it doesn't work. I'm still stuck, and now that monster is pouring the entire can on my body. He lights a match, and lets it drop on me. It ignites, and I scream in pain. Why can't I stop this? I flared all my chakra. Why is this all still happening? Despite the pain, Itachi's response is clear. I controlled time and space in this realm. This jutsu is unbreakable unless your tenant helps you. The pain you are experiencing is the same pain you have in the past, your mind and body remembers it, and that is why your Kekkei Genkai is not working. Did he say Aku could help me? Aku, please save me. Make it stop. I screamed as the fire burned my body. I'm sorry pup, but this is the only way to get you the help you need. I won't stop this. Aku answered. I was about to start begging him again when I realized I was no longer in actual pain. I only felt phantom pain. I realized then that my clothes were gone, and that I was hanging from the ceiling by a chain. I saw that monster's grinning face as he held up several small rods, each giving off sparks of electricity. For the next several hours, I get electrocuted, buried alive, blown into metal surfaces, suffer severe beatings, and am paraded around the village naked on a choker leash. Then that night came and those monsters returned. After they were done, everything faded to black again as I laid sprawled out on the ground, gasping for breath, phantom pain shooting throughout my body. I know what they did to me was wrong, but it was for my own good, right? Time remaining. Itachi's voice rings out. 71 hours, 59 minutes, and 59 seconds. I gasp as that can't be true. After all that, only 1 second has gone by? Impossible. Imp, all coherent though, is lost to me as fire consumes my body as I scream in pain. End flashback. Normal Pav. That bastard, he had no right to do that to you. I swear if I ever find Naruto is cut off as Amara places a finger on his lips. I admit, I didn't enjoy that genjutsu, and I never want to experience it again. But all in all, it woke me up to just how messed up I was at the time. Itachi saved me from a life of servitude to those monsters, and I'll be forever in his debt for that. Amara said. What happened after that? Naruto asked. Itachi trained me for nearly a year. During that time I made peace with Aku and he gave me a demonic bloodline. Really? What's it called? What's it do? Wah, shut up and let me tell you, Naruto. Amara laughed. We call it the demonic eyes. Basically, it's an altered Sharingan. I can analyze jutsu and movements, can learn how to do them and how they work, but I can't copy them. Aku made it so I have to work for my power, which I agree with. I can still use the Sharingan's illusion ability, slow down time around me, and predict my opponent's movements, but they're not as strong as the real thing. That's awesome, Naruto exclaimed. Amara grinned. Yeah, it's awesome. Another thing, it doesn't take any chakra to activate. It can also evolve into the Mangekyo, and I have learned each of its jutsu. The Mangekyo does drain chakra, and its jutsu are real chakra guzzlers. Amara explained. Can it do anything else? Yeah, I have the ability to scan people and find out if they have bloodlines or some kind of health condition, and even analyze them. This makes it easier to come up with a counter should I face a powerful opponent. Cool, so what happened next? Well, when almost a year passed since our first encounter, we decided it was time to go back to the hidden Twilight Village and make them pay for the hell they put me through. Amara said, then grinned. They never really stood a chance. Between me and Itachi, we crushed the village in 6 hours. It worked to both our benefits. Itachi got jutsu and scrolls on light and darkness techniques, and I got affinity, immunity, and mastery over both light and darkness, given the overexposure I had to their techniques. It was then that I got my page in the bingo book. You have a page in the bingo book? Yeah, glad you know what that is, at least. Have a look. Amara pulled a book from her pocket, flipped to a page with a black leaf in it. Naruto took the book and looked at the profile. Name: Mistress of Elements. Rank: S-Class Criminal. Bloodline: Immunity to Elemental Jutsu. Crimes: single-handedly destroyed village hidden in twilight, killed numerous nobles and lords throughout element nations. Note: Flee on sight notice, applies to rank A or lower shinobi. Abilities. Capable of using all forms of elemental and fusion elemental jutsu. Creator of the magma-style jutsu, has unknown limit to chakra capacity. Naruto looked at Amara. Fusion elemental, what's that? It's a combination of two elements to create a new one. Wind and water form ice, water and earth form wood, earth and fire form magma, and light and darkness form either twilight or chaos. I discovered scrolls on fusion elements there, the wood, ice, twilight and chaos. Since I had affinities for wind, water, earth, light, and darkness, I was at least capable of doing them, so it just required a lot of training. Did you ever learn them? Ice I've obtained complete mastery over, wood is immunity. Twilight is slowly coming along but no affinity, and I know how to make chaos but I'm not touching that element. Why not? The scrolls that talked about the fusion elements said that a person must choose between either twilight or chaos, that if someone tried to use both, the energies would tear them apart and blow up everything within a 50-mile radius. Well, in a nutshell that's what it said. I see. So when do I get to meet Itachi? Not for a long time. You see, Itachi wasn't the one who wiped out the Uchiha clan, though he was going to after hearing about a plan to overthrow the Hokage. A man named Madara Uchiha beat him to it. Impossible, Naruto said. Huh? Amara just stared at him. This was the first time he seemed serious about something he had no knowledge of. At least she thought he had no knowledge of. Madara Uchiha fought the Shodem Hokage at the Valley of the End, where he was defeated and never heard from again. He was like what, 56 at the time? That was like 60 years ago, he'd be over 100 by now. I know some people can live to 100, some a year or to longer, but over 110 years old, that's impossible. Naruto said, a smug grin on his face. Very good Naruto, you seem to have some common sense. But the truth is, you don't have all the facts, and as such you don't know how fucked up the Uchiha clan is. Well tell me. Naruto wanted to know just how he could be wrong about this, and what Amara meant by the Uchiha clan being fucked up. I don't know, you don't really need to know for me to continue the story, and what would I get out of telling you? Amara asked with a grin. Her grin slipped off her face as she saw Naruto grinning evilly at her. Before she could react, Naruto threw her on the bed, stomach first, focused chakra to his hands, and used his magic fingers technique on her. Amara moaned, shivering under his touch. Anything you want to tell me, Amara-chan? Naruto said, chuckling. He lessened the flow so she could talk somewhat properly. There are three forms of the Sharingan, the one with Tomo, the Mangekyo, and the eternal Mangekyo. To gain the Mangekyo, you need to kill your best friend. To gain the eternal Mangekyo, you must take your siblings' eyes and put them in your own eye sockets. Kami, don't stop Naruto. You're right, the Uchiha are a fucked up clan. But how come Sasuke is still alive if Madara was the one to wipe out the Uchiha clan? Would it not be safer to kill him and prevent the possibility of Itachi getting the eternal Mangekyo Sharingan? Naruto asked. Those are some good questions, Naruto. Amara managed, her body slowly adjusting to wave of pleasure flowing through her with each motion of Naruto's hands. Itachi showed up before Madara could find Sasuke, the two fought, and Madara was impressed. He made Itachi an offer, join his organization and he'd spare his brother. Itachi agreed, but only if he was given 2 years to travel and do as he sees fit. The Uchiha had kept Itachi on a tight leash, and to be suddenly free of that, Itachi knew it would take some time to adapt. Madara reluctantly agreed to the terms and left, and Itachi used the Tsukuyomi to convince Sasuke that he was the murderer of his clan. Wow, was all Naruto could get out. Itachi had become a nuke nin just to save his brother's life, and Sasuke was hell-bent on getting revenge. He managed to voice this to Amara. That's what Itachi was aiming for. Huh? Naruto didn't understand. For starters, if Itachi had been there when Madara had first attacked, he feels that he could have saved a lot more of his clan than just Sasuke, and not even have to go nuke nin. Also, Sasuke was too young and narrow-minded at the time. The loss of his clan would have driven him completely insane if he didn't have an outlet. Itachi made himself that outlet. In truth, Itachi hopes Sasuke does kill him in the end. Why? Naruto, for the life of him, couldn't find the logic in that. He feels guilty about what has happened, to his clan, to his brother, to himself, to Konoha. The list goes on, but he feels guilty nonetheless. He wants the Uchiha clan to be a proud and strong clan once again. That's why he wants Sasuke to kill him, so it would restore the clan's honor in the nation's eyes. When that is done, Sasuke should then revive his clan, and ultimately restore it to its former glory, maybe even make it better. A couple of problems with that. Sasuke would do anything for the power to kill Itachi, even give up his life in the process, then there would be no Uchihas left. The biggest problem, though, is that Sasuke is gay. Amara turned her head around to look at him. Are you sure? She asked. Very, for starters, he's the only male that has ever withstood my Waijutsu without a nosebleed, sec. Waijutsu? Amara cocked an eyebrow. Wanna see it? Sure. Okay, just don't hit me. Naruto got off the bed and moved in front of Amara before making a hand sign. Transform. A cloud of smoke erupted around Naruto. When most of it cleared, it showed a beautiful 18-year-old girl, completely nude, curves in all the right places, with only her private parts covered in smoke. Naruto jokingly blew Amara a kiss, and was shocked when she rocketed off the bed with a massive nosebleed. She slammed back first into the wall, and slid down to the floor, eyes swirling. Naruto didn't know what to do. This had never happened before when it involved another woman. He usually got knocked over the head for performing that jutsu. That's when he remembered Amara had told him she preferred girls more so than boys. He kicked himself for forgetting that, and quickly got a washcloth from the bathroom and started cleaning the blood off Amara's face. She came to shortly after that and just stared at him. Naruto wondered what she was staring at when he realized he was still in his Waijutsu form. He quickly folded his arms over his chest and asked, "What are you staring at?" Amara reached out and poked him all over his arms and legs. She then poked one of his breasts and got her hand smacked away. She began moving downward when Naruto grabbed her hands. "Just what the hell do you think you're doing? It's an amazing jutsu, Naruto. That doesn't mean you can feel me up. You of all people should know how uncomfortable that can make you feel." "You're right, I'm sorry but you misunderstood. I was examining the effects your jutsu had on your body, and I have to say it's slightly better than my perfect transformation jutsu." "Really? How so? You not only changed your physical appearance, but your body as well, you even changed gender. Your breasts are real, your voice has changed, and even your chakra signature has changed. You'll have to teach me how you transformed like that. It would be great for disguises and infiltration missions." Amara explained. Naruto just stared at her. "I really did all that with my Waijutsu? Yup. Haha, in your face, Iruka-sensei. My jutsu isn't worthless after all." Naruto? Huh? We've kinda gotten off track here, so could you pick up where you left off? "Oh, sure," Naruto said. Both of them sat at the edge of the cleaner bed, before lying back and turning towards one another. "Well, the second reason is because I'm pretty sure Sasuke has a crush on someone." "Who?" "I don't know his name, but he is a Hyuga from the Hyuga clan. He's probably a genin, is very skilled from what I saw. He has long, girly flowing brown hair, usually wearing a white jacket, black shorts, usually has his right leg and arm wrapped in bandages. Anyways, I followed Sasuke one day to see how he was training, because he was doing so much better than me in taijutsu and weapon training, damn him, when he stopped behind some trees. I looked out and saw that Hyuga guy working out without a shirt. He must have been working hard because he was sweating a lot. When I looked at Sasuke, he was blushing, licking his lips, and had a slight nosebleed. So in other words, I don't think Sasuke will be the one reviving the Uchiha clan." Amara was silent for a few minutes, considering this. "Well, that's something we'll worry about another time. Right now I need to tell you about the organization Itachi joined, and about the situation people like us are in." Naruto just gave her a questioning stare. "Look, Hokage-sama, my wife has been complaining that I haven't been spending enough time with her, so if we could hurry this meeting along you'll still have a council member and an able shinobi." Shikaku Nara stated, to which several council members chuckled at. "Don't worry about her, man. Just stop by my shop and we'll pick up some of her favorite flowers for ya. That'll tie her over for a while." Inoichi Yamanaka said, placing an arm over his longtime friend and teammate's shoulder. "Don't worry, Shikaku, we'll start in a few moments, our guest has just arrived." Sarutobi told them. No sooner did the words leave his mouth did a loud boom sound outside, the entire tower shaking. Moments later, a man crashed through the skylight ceiling, landing in the center of the room. "Always have to make an entrance, Jiraiya? Jiraiya ran his thumb across his nose. I could always do my dance, sensei. Now then, what's so important that you had to drag me away from my research? Naruto was kidnapped last night, after successfully stealing the Forbidden Scroll. We've retrieved the scroll, but there hasn't been any trace of Naruto or the kunoichi that took him. Sarutobi explained. Jiraiya's eyes widened. I see, that would be a matter of great importance. If you can give me a description of what she looks like, I can have my spy network search for her. Jiraiya said. She wore a mask covering her entire head, so we have no real description of her. She did leave behind this scroll, claiming to one of my Anbu that it will explain her reasons for taking Naruto. We're just about to open it. Sarutobi explained. Jiraiya nodded. Let's hear what she has to say. Sarutobi nodded, before biting his thumb and smearing blood across the seal on the scroll. The seal glowed for a moment before unlocking. Sarutobi unrolled the scroll and looked at the council. I'll ask that none of you interrupt me until I finish reading. We can always double-check the contents again later. The council members nodded in understanding, and Sarutobi started reading. Dear Aging Monkey, Power-Hungry Bastards, and Arrow Kami, aka Sandame Hokage, Konoha Council, and Toad Sanin Jiraiya. I have taken Naruto Uzumaki from the Leaf Village for several reasons. The first, a group of S-class nuke nins, known as the Akatsuki, are collecting half-demons, the tailed beasts, and Jinchuriki. They intend to use their power in an attempt to rule the world. Yeah, original, I know. Ask Arrow Kami and he can confirm this organization's existence. Members include Kisame Hoshigaki, former swordsman of the Mist, Sasori of the Red Sand, former member of the Sand Village, Deidara, a former terrorist bomber from Iwagakure, and the Leaf Village's very own Itachi Uchiha. These are just some of the members. I don't know much more, but I'll be sure to inform others about what I know. Second, the ill treatment Naruto has received is sickening to me. From my research, it turns out that all the academy teachers except one, Iruka, have gone out of their way to sabotage Naruto's shinobi career, as well as those students who did not have clans. Naruto only skipped lessons because he would not be taken seriously, and by the time he met this Iruka character, he was so far behind that it was too late to catch up in time for graduation. Also, the beatings Naruto has received from the villagers have put them in danger for two reasons. 1. It's Naruto's will to live that keeps Kyuubi at bay. If he ever lost that will, Kyuubi would be free to take vengeance on the ROOT of its problems with the leaf. Isn't that right, Danzo? Don't bother trying to remove what's left of the Kyuubi's kits from its den. You can't enter with the new seals. Another thing, should Naruto have died in the Leaf Village, the blame would have been placed on Konoha and the Akatsuki would have destroyed you. Keep that in mind for future reference. Lastly, the tailed beasts are also known as guardians. Their duty is to keep balance to this realm and their own. Right now, the demons of the demon realm are furious with humans, sealing their brethren and guardians away into human vessels, only then to be used as weapons or punching bags. They consider this crime unforgivable and are trying to break the wall separating their dimension from ours. Naruto, as a Jinchuriki, must take on the Kyuubi's duties as the leader of the Guardians and stop the wall from collapsing. The war has been going on for several hundred years, but with the time differences between realms, it translated to about 60 years in our realm. Right now things aren't looking good for the Guardians, with all but the 7 and 8-tailed beasts sealed. It's been a struggle to survive, even more so since Orochi, the 8-tail and father to the Snake Sanin, has betrayed the Guardians, in hopes of keeping a position of power when the true demons win, in his words. I myself am the Jinchuriki of the 4-tailed wolf Aku, and am hardly able to make any sort of impact on the war itself. If I wasn't a descendant of the hidden Miracle Village, were it not for my elemental manipulation Kekkei Genkei, I would have died long ago. I am currently seeking the aid of other Jinchuriki, while the 3-tailed and 6-tailed are lost to the Akatsuki. I intend to train each of them in order to help fight this war and protect this realm. It is for these reasons I ask that you do not search me out and try to retrieve Naruto, and as a show of good faith, I even left you your village's forbidden scroll. Naruto is the most important of us all, and quite possibly our only hope of survival. Crystal Sudafudo, Jinchuriki of the 4-tailed wolf, princess of the late village hidden in the miracles. Silence reigned through the room. A pop was heard, and everyone saw Jiraiya with an enormous gourd and a number of cups. He filled each cup full of the sake from the gourd, passed them to each person in the room, including the Anbu hiding in the shadows, and as one everyone downed their entire cup. Damn, I didn't know what to expect, but this is too much. Shikaku stated, if we search for them, we risk demons invading this world with the intent to destroy all human life, and we have to worry about a group of S-class criminals chasing them and as if we get involved. Man, this is the definition of troublesome. Indeed, Sarutobi agreed. My real concern here is the mentioning of rude Anbu disturbing Kyuubi's den and attacking its children. It would give the Kyuubi probable cause to attack Konoha. Care to explain yourself, Danzo? Everyone turned to the man sitting in the shadows. I have no idea what this girl is talking about, or how trustworthy the scroll is, considering she didn't say her other title. What title would that be? One of the council members asked, before Sarutobi could stop the subject from changing. Crystal goes by the name Amara, and is actually the mistress of elements, who single-handedly destroyed the hidden Twilight Village. I don't believe we should listen to anything she has stated on that scroll. We should track both demon brats and have them executed. Amara for invasion and kidnapping along with her other crimes, and Naruto for high treason to Konoha and murder of 2 excellent Chunin teachers. Murmurs spread throughout the room, some in agreement with Danzo, others in Amara's favor. The Hokage cleared his throat, silencing the room. First off, Amara stated that Jiraiya can confirm the existence of this group, Akatsuki. Was what she said true? Yes, though she found out even more than I did. I'll have to improve my spy network if I'm to learn anything more. I have a better idea. Since the Akatsuki is only after Naruto, why not focus our resources on learning more about this war they mentioned? The Akatsuki are after Jinchuriki, tailed beasts, and half-demons, so that means there are demons in this realm. Ones who may know of the war and if it's real or just a hoax. Shikaku suggested. Murmurs of agreement spread through the room. Though I'd also like to know the role Danzo and his rude Anbu played in the Kyuubi's attack. While searching for the real demons, we should look for Kyuubi's den and try to find evidence of what provoked Kyuubi's wrath on Konoha. Then it is agreed. Everyone, you'll receive your assignments and notices on the situation respectively. For now, my Anbu Black Ops will keep an eye on you, Danzo, and should evidence of you provoking Kyuubi's wrath on the village be true, you will be held accountable. Sarutobi announced. Everyone dismissed. Naruto laid there, gazing at the ceiling, lost in thought over what Amara just told him. He chuckled. I never used to care about what kind of attention I got as long as I got a lot of it, but this is just too much. I'm sorry it has to be this way, Naruto, but we need you. You contain Kyuubi, and she is the best shot we've got at winning this war. The same applies to you too, once we get you properly trained, that is. Amara's now soft voice told him. What I don't understand is why Kyuubi attacked Konoha if there was a war going on at the time. I mean, wouldn't that be its most important priority? It's not my place to tell you why, Naruto, but we can go ask Kyuubi herself. Naruto's head snapped in her direction, clearly shocked if his expression was any indication. Kyuubi's a woman? Amara's face vaulted off the bed. It doesn't matter what gender she is. On a different note, did you ever hear the saying, hell have no wrath like a woman's scorn? Why else would she be considered the queen of hell, the guardian commander, the... I'd tell you the last one, but it's quite inappropriate and you'd faint, considering how innocent you are. Okay, I get the point, women rule. Naruto sighed, a full-blown headache working against him. So how do we see Kyuubi? Just look into my eyes and I'll transport our spirits to your mind. Amara told him. Naruto stared into Amara's eyes. He saw her violet eyes shine a bright gold, 3 tomo emerging from pupils, spinning wildly. Naruto's vision soon faded to darkness. Dark, dark and cold, dark, cold and cramped. These were Naruto's first thoughts when he came to. Naruto shifted around, trying to move out from under whatever it was on top of him. All he knew was that it was furry. As Naruto shifted, his right hand fell on something soft, while his left foot landed on something he'd later call squishy. Naruto squeezed the soft thing to help move him, while pushing off the squishy thing. A scream and a resounding roar ensued. Naruto, don't grab me there, pup, get your foot out of my ass. Damn it, Aku, transform. There isn't enough room here for your demon form. Fine. A large cloud of smoke engulfed the three, causing Naruto and Amara to cough a bit. When the smoke cleared, everyone was able to move again. Amara, Naruto and Aku got up, each completely drenched. Damn pup, this is one dank mindscape. Yeah, Amara and Naruto said at the same time. They looked at each other, then looked away. Amara started wringing her clothes clean of water while Naruto looked at Aku's appearance. Aku looked about mid-20s, long brown braided hair that reached the sewer's floor. He had a pair of golden eyes, wolf ears, scar-like marks across his cheeks, and 4 silver tails flowing behind him. He was wearing white robes with silver armor around his arms, legs, and torso. His torso armor took on the shape of a wolf's head. He was wringing his robe and tails clean of water when he noticed Naruto staring at him. Pup, most men look at the girl in the wet shirt, not a guy. Aku said. Huh? Naruto didn't get it. Don't mind him, Naruto, he's just horny. It's been almost a month since he got laid with his mate. Amara told him as she moved between the two. Naruto scratched his head. Horny? Laid? Naruto asked. He had no clue what Amara was talking about. Horny means he wants to have Naruto. Naruto gasped and jumped behind Amara. Amara laughed at Naruto's reaction while Aku scowled. Not with you, Naruto. Aku misses his mate, his wife, and wants to have with her. They used to. He doesn't need to know about my life, pup. Aku growled. You seem to have taken an interest in my life as of late, father. Amara growled right back. Well, I'm not broadcasting it for all to know, pup. Aku growled, now towering over Amara. If I recall, you were the one who set me up on that blind date with Pandora just a week before this mission. And we know how well that worked out. Amara answered, her voice dripping with sarcasm at the end. She glared at Aku right in his eyes, her demonic eyes active to show just how serious she was. You went on a date with a blind girl named Pandora? Naruto asked. Amara and Aku blinked, before both chuckled. We'll finish this discussion in private. Amara told Aku, who nodded in agreement. And Naruto, a blind date is a date you go on when it's with someone you don't know. Naruto opened his mouth, probably to ask a question, when Amara spoke again. I'll explain more another time, maybe. She glanced at Aku. Right now we're here to meet Kyuubi, and find out the truth of why she attacked Konoha. Right, Naruto said, before turning around a corner, splashing water with each step. Amara turned to Aku. Does he know the way? She asked. Before Aku could answer, they heard the splashing get closer to them, before Naruto's head peeked out from around the corner. You guys wouldn't happen to know which way it is to Kyuubi, would ya? He asked, rubbing the back of his head with one hand. Amara and Aku rolled their eyes at this. Aku was about to answer when there was a blinding flash of light from above, blinding the group for a good 2 minutes. When their eyes adjusted, they saw the lights where lanterns, blazing with white flames, hung on the walls and the ceiling. The lanterns that were lit seemed to lead off in a direction, the one opposite of where Naruto had gone. Does that answer your question? Amara asked him. Naruto nodded. The 3 of them began following the lanterns. What caused the lanterns to come on? Naruto asked. Aku's eye twitched. Please don't say, come on, around me, pup. Aku told him. Amara glared at him while Naruto just looked confused. Naruto, this is your mindscape, a pipeline. Due to how you've been treated all your life, your mindscape has warped to that of a sewer. However, Aku reached down and got a handful of water and took a sip of it, to the disgust of Amara and Naruto. It appears recent events have warped your mind again, in a positive way, so instead of sewage, we're walking through clean water. As for this path, you are in control of your mindscape, so you can make anything happen here. Really? Naruto took Amara's hand, ignoring the questioning look she gave him, and slowed the pace of his walk, causing Amara to do the same. Just then, a pipe opened up from the ceiling, and gallons of murky-colored water gushed down on Aku. Amara roared with laughter as she and Naruto avoided the flow by walking along and bouncing across the wall respectively. When the flow stopped, it revealed a pissed-off Aku, his robes a murky brown, eye-twitching. In a puff of smoke, Aku was in his giant wolf form, roaring at Naruto and Amara. Both yelled as he began chasing them. They ran for several minutes, Amara mostly dragging Naruto, when they heard a loud metallic clang. Amara briefly glanced back and saw the pipeline behind them had shrunk to a size Aku's demon form couldn't fit through. Naruto let go of Amara's hand and began running alongside her, a silly grin on his face, Amara grinning back. The two ran for several minutes, following the light of the lanterns, before they reached the end of the pipeline. To their left, an old wooden door, its hinges barely holding the door up. To their right, an old gray steel door with a silver door handle. Dead ahead of them was a pair of steel gray doors towering above them, many small pipes running through the room from the ceiling. Naruto turned to Amara. What are all these doors doing here? Amara studied each door for a moment before answering. The wooden door to our left represents your mental defenses, which aren't looking good right now. Beyond it should be the room where your memories are kept. The door, or gate rather, in front of us leads to Kyuubi's cage, while the door to our right is the door to Ascension. Amara explained. Door to Ascension? What's behind that? Naruto asked. Amara turned to Naruto, staring him straight in the eye. He realized this was serious. The door to Ascension lies within every sentient being. As the name suggests, it allows one to ascend to the next level of our existence. Basically, the door will only open when you have done everything in your power to reach your true potential. Once opened, humans get the choice to become either part demon or part angel. For angels there are several forms: guardian, archangel, death, and fallen. You do not get to choose which you become, it depends on what requirements you've fulfilled before you open the door. Anyways, for demons, you take on the part demon form of your spiritual animal or form, and gain a half-tail's worth of Yuki. There are some exceptions though. Those who have angelic or demonic blood flowing through them, even an insignificant amount, they will become whatever type runs through their veins. Also, for those who are part demon, or are a demon container, like us, when we ascend we become whatever animal or overall demon type we contain or were born from. We don't become our spiritual animal or form. Amara explained, breathing heavily from saying so much at once. So should I open it? Naruto asked. Amara rolled her eyes. Go ahead and try. I doubt you can, though should it seem like you can open it, stop. Why? We still need to train you to get used to your powers as a human and a Jinchuriki. If you ascend, we'll have to deal with your own demonic powers as well. It'll just be easier to wait to ascend and master what you can now. Trust me, I know. Have you ascended, Amara? Yes, and when I did, the third energy, my own Yuki, threw off my chakra and Yuki control drastically. I basically had to start my training over again, all because I wasn't fully prepared for the change. Okay, I see, you said most people change into their spiritual animal, right? Yeah, except for people like us. Why? Do you know what your spiritual animal is? Yeah? Amara's face started turning red. Can you tell me? Naruto asked, oblivious to Amara's blush. Amara mumbled something that Naruto couldn't hear. Could you say that again, just a bit louder? A dolphin. My spiritual animal is a sweet, lovable creature that is completely helpless against predators, and is completely vulnerable out of water. That's my spiritual animal, a dolphin. Amara's face was completely red now, both from embarrassment and shame that such a creature would represent her in any way, shape, or form. Naruto was silent for several moments, assuming a thinking pose, before he looked at Amara again. You know, he began, catching Amara's attention. People often referred to Iruka-sensei as the dolphin of Konoha. Once I asked old man Hokage about it and he told me that dolphins are a lot smarter than humans are, and that Iruka-sensei was called that because he showed that he was able to use low-level ninjutsu and only light-level ninja tools and be able to outclass any Anbu in the village. Well, any Anbu that didn't have a bloodline, that is. What I'm trying to say is, well, you must be really smart and skilled if you have a dolphin as your animal, right? Amara stared at him for a minute, before chuckling. I get what you're saying, Naruto. Looking at it from that angle, it's really nothing to be ashamed of. Thank you, Naruto. Naruto grinned at her. Not a problem. Now then, shall we go in? Naruto asked, motioning to Kyuubi's door. To his surprise, Amara shook her head. No. You can go, Naruto, but I have to stay here. It's up to you to make peace with Kyuubi on your own. It's not something I can help with. I shouldn't have brought you here in the first place, Naruto, but we're pressed for time. In 2 weeks we will depart for the demon realm, and it's best if you learn to cooperate with Kyuubi before then. Amara explained. Naruto was once again silent, digesting what Amara had just told him. He soon nodded. I understand. I'll head in and talk to Kyuubi, and in the meantime, you're welcome to go through my memories if you want. Amara's eyes widened at this. Go through your memories? That's an invasion of privacy, Naruto. I can't do that. Amara all but yelled. Naruto shrugged. You told me about your past. I want to tell you mine, and since we're pressed for time, this would be the fastest way. Besides, I'm not sure I'd use all the right words to describe everything that's happened to me if I told you it. Naruto explained. Amara considered this for a moment, before smiling, and moving forward to hug him, nuzzling her face into his chest. Thanks for trusting me with your past, Naruto. I promise your trust isn't misplaced in me. Amara told him. Naruto, once again in position he wasn't familiar with, chose to follow his gut instincts again. He wrapped both arms around her and hugged her just as tightly as she was him. Amara's head was still nuzzling his upper chest, and her wolf ears were beginning to tickle him. He shifted one arm up to Amara's head and began gently scratching behind her ear. A small grumbly sound made its way up Amara's throat. That feels good, she mumbled, her head now resting on Naruto's chest as he continued to scratch behind her ears. Naruto did this for another minute before slowly releasing Amara from his embrace. She reluctantly did the same. Why'd you stop? She asked with a pout. We both have things to do, it's like you said, we're pressed for time. We can do this again sometime if you'd like in the future, but we both need to do things right now. Naruto answered. Amara slowly nodded, a faint blush on her cheeks. She turned around and walked towards the flimsy wooden door, then looked back. I'll check in on you when I'm done. Memories are usually divided between good, bad, and average occurrences, and I'm only looking at your young past. I'll let you tell me about your recent past sometime, okay? It was more of a statement than question. Naruto grinned. Definitely. Amara and Naruto turned to their respective doors and entered. The air around the corridor shifted as Aku dropped the genjutsu hiding him. I knew that kid would be good for my pup, but I never expected them to bond this quickly. He thought to himself. Maybe with a little nudge here and there, Amara will become more accepting with being around men, or at least Naruto. Heh. Alright, now that Sakura is fixed up, we can begin your genin exam. Anko announced. What do we have to do, Anko-sensei? Ino asked. Probably buy her all the dango she can eat. Hinata giggled. Now there's an idea, Anko said. However, this test is made to test your abilities as ninja, and buy me dango isn't a qualification, unfortunately. So follow me brats, we're off to training ground 43. As the four kunoichi made their way to the training ground, Ino pulled back to walk next to Hinata, and asked, So Hinata, why do you know someone like Anko? I don't think it would do your image as clan heir very good. Hinata glanced at Ino. Anko-sensei is a friend of Kurenai-san, who has been like a mother figure to me since my real mom died. Anko is actually like Naruto, in the way that the village hates her for something outside her control. Why do they hate her? Ino asked. Unknown to the both of them, Anko and Sakura were both listening. Anko was the apprentice of the snake Sannin, Orochimaru. From what I can gather, he was a jutsu-obsessed man who wanted to learn all the jutsu in the world. It would take longer than his lifetime to achieve his dream, so he began searching for a way to gain immortality. When he failed to become the Yondaime Hokage, he began experimenting on civilians and ninja alike, trying to gain his immortality. He was driven off by Sandaime-sama, but he took Anko with him. Hinata explained, taking deep breaths after saying so much at once. If she left with Orochimaru, doesn't that make her a traitor? Ino asked. Normally, yes. Anko entered, causing all three girls to jump. However, Orochimaru grew tired of me, and experimented on me. The results were less than favorable to him, what with losing almost all my memories, so he threw me away like garbage. Some leaf nins found me, took me back here, and managed to restore most of my memories, though my time with Orochimaru is still blank. The Sandaime fought tooth and nail with the council to get me reinstated as a leaf nin, but they have yet to trust me. I'd find it hard to trust you too. Sakura spoke up for the first time. Yeah, well, I tried earning their trust back. For 11 years I had been taking A and S rank solo missions, ones with a 99% rate of death, only to come back each time. They still don't trust me, even after all I've done for this village. I'm just a reminder to everyone of what Orochimaru did to their loved ones. Anko explained. The group walked in silence, till they entered a training ground surrounded by forest. Anko turned to the genin. Welcome to training ground 43, this is where we'll be taking your genin exam. Anko-sensei? Sakura started. Yes, Sakura? Aren't we supposed to introduce ourselves? I mean, we are supposed to work together. Yes, normally that is the case. However, I don't know if we will be working together, so we're going to take the exam first, and save introductions for later. Any more questions before we begin? No, Anko-sensei. The three kunoichi answered in unison. Good, now here's your test. Anko reached into her trench coat and pulled out 3 stopwatches, giving one to each genin. Your objective is to hold each stopwatch onto some part of my body for 30 seconds. I've designed them to only start ticking upon contact with my person. Any questions? Ino and Sakura raised their hands. Ino, then Sakura. Do we have to hold the on you for exactly 30 seconds, or is it every time we touch you with them, and the time keeps ticking? You have to hold it on me for 30 straight seconds. Does that answer your question as well, Sakura? Sakura shook her head. No. Do we have to hold all 3 on you at once, or can they be one at a time, and is there a time limit? Anko grinned at this. Good questions, you 3. It can be 1 watch at a time, or up to all 3 at the same time. As for the time limit, you 3 have till noon, which is about 2 hours from now. Anything else? Hinata raised her hand. Yes, Hinata? What are the limits of forcing you to remain still for the 30 seconds? Who said I had to be still for 30 seconds? I could be moving, and you could hold it to my back or something and it would still count. As for limiting of force, there is no limit. Whether the Leaf Village wants to admit it or not, I'm one of the top 5 shinobi they've got. It'll take everything you genin have to accomplish this task, but don't worry, Anko took out a kunai and ran her tongue across the blade. I'll be gentle. All 3 genin shivered at the killer intent Anko was emitting. Now then, let's get this party started. Shadow Snake. With little warning, 6 snakes shot out of Anko's sleeve, all of them bearing their fangs at the kunoichi. All 3 kunoichi dodged the surprise attack. Sakura pulled out a kunai, throwing it as hard as she could at Anko. This, however, caused the kunai to spin out of control, thus spin off course. Just as it looked like it would land at Anko's feet, there was a puff of smoke, and Hinata replaced the kunai. Anko's eyes widened in surprise, even more so as she saw Hinata's Byakugan activated on its own for the first time. Gentle fist. Hinata slammed her palm into Anko's stomach. Instead of falling back, Anko burst into a dozen snakes, each one coiling around Hinata, restraining her. Get off me. Hinata expelled chakra from all her chakra points, sending the snakes flying. Ino and Sakura quickly threw shuriken and kunai at the snakes, causing them to go up in smoke as they were dispelled. As Hinata rose from the ground, Sakura stalked over to her. What the hell were you doing? I nearly had her, she screeched. Ino and Hinata gave her looks of disbelief. You gotta be kidding me, forehead girl. A first year at the academy could have thrown that kunai better than you. You just chucked it at Anko and hopped for the best, not taking into account the shape of the kunai and how it would travel, at the speed you chucked it, through the air. There's also the matter of aim. Ino ranted. Shut up, Ino pig. I was talking to Hinata, or should I say, little miss, I like breaking people's body parts. Sakura yelled back. Hinata just looked calmly at her. Sakura, I'm sorry for what I did to you earlier. I let my emotions get the better of me, something a good ninja never lets happen. Hinata said, surprising both Ino and Sakura. I know Anko better than you two, and what she said was true. She is one of the best ninjas in the Leaf Village. If we're to beat her, we must catch her off guard, which is why I used substitution on your kunai when it got close to Anko. Despite that, she was able to create a snake clone and escape us, for now. Ino and Sakura thought about what she said. Sakura took a deep breath. I'm sorry too, Hinata, things just haven't been going the way I'd like them to lately. I had hoped that by being the top kunoichi in class, and with Sasuke being Rookie of the Year, we'd be on the same team with the dead last of the graduating class. It's just frustrating, you know? She looked at the others. Ino was frowning, while Hinata was nodding her head in understanding. You said you knew Anko-sensei better than the Ino or I, so what should we do? Ino and Hinata looked surprised at Sakura for a moment. Hinata closed her eyes, sat down on the ground Indian style. Seeing her not moving, Ino and Sakura both took a seat as well, forming a triangle, each keeping an eye out for Anko. After 10 minutes passed, Hinata opened her eyes. Sakura, Ino and Sakura jumped as Hinata broke the silence. You have a talent for genjutsu, correct? Sakura looked confused at where this was going, but just nodded. Would you be able to copy a genjutsu if you saw how it worked? I'm not sure, what did you have in mind? Here in Konoha, there is one unbreakable genjutsu, not even the Yondaime Hokage could break it. Ino's and Sakura's eyes widened at this. You think I can replicate something the Yondaime couldn't break? Are you out of your mind? Hinata smiled. It's the one thing that Anko is truly vulnerable to. When I saw it used on her, she passed out. It's our best shot, without doing something that might make her want to skin us alive, or worse. All three girls shivered at the thought. Okay, I'll try, just show it to me. They didn't use hand signs, but I've seen the flow of chakra through their bodies. Ino, do you think if you possessed my body, you could copy my memory and then give it to Sakura? Yeah, that stuff is no problem for a Yamanaka. It's one of the first things we learned to do. Ino replied. She turned to Sakura while pulling a small, blue stone out of her side pouch and placing it in front of Hinata. Take care of my body while I'm gone, okay forehead? Sure Ino pig. Ino performed the mind transfer jutsu and jumped into Hinata's body. Hinata had been thinking of the memory before the jump, so Ino immediately found it. Using Hinata's body, she flashed through some seals before calling out, Memory Containment Jutsu. The blue stone in front of Hinata began to glow a bright sapphire. With a quick hand sign, Ino jumped back into her body. After a moment she turned to Sakura. What did you do to me, Sakura? Why do I feel so turned on right now? Ino growled. I don't know Ino, all I was doing was running my fingers through your hair, so unless you secretly dream of me doing that to you, I don't see how I could have turned you on. Sakura replied. Ino blushed before cracking her knuckles. Forehead. Beat each other up after we pass. Sakura, I want you to examine my memory, now. Hinata ordered. This took both girls by surprise. Fine, but how do I do that? Sakura asked as she picked up the glowing stone. Just focus some chakra into it. Ino answered. Sakura nodded and did so. Her eyes glazed over for 30 seconds before coming back into focus. She just looked at Hinata and said, You're kidding me, right? This will knock her out? Hinata nodded. Fine, but I'll need Ino's help, this is a two-person genjutsu. Hinata stood up, brushing the dirt off her pants. That's fine. You two practice, in the meantime, I'll keep Anko-sensei busy, I might get lucky and get my watch set. With that Hinata leapt away while Sakura and Ino began practicing the genjutsu. 30 minutes later XX. Hinata struggled against the snakes as they held her tightly to the bottom of a tree branch, as Anko sat next to her eating some dango. This is so good. Anko said just as she swallowed another bite's worth. Hinata's stomach growled loudly, causing the poor girl to blush. Anko snapped her fingers. I almost forgot. Anko reached into her coat pocket and pulled out some dead rats. Here ya go my little snake buddies. Anko released her hold on the rats, and the three snakes holding Hinata instantly snapped at them, swallowing them whole. Hinata shuddered as she felt the rats go down through the snakes' bodies. Anko waved a stick full of dango in front of Hinata's face, before pulling back and swallowing all the dango. Hinata growled, That's it. Hinata focused chakra to the back of her head, and slammed it into the branch behind her. The branch quivered for a moment, before it snapped. Anko, caught completely off guard, fell from the tree. She hit the ground hard, choking on her dango. The snakes holding Hinata to the remains of the branch all seemed to laugh at the sight. After a few slams to her stomach, Anko spat out the half-eaten dango, gasping for breath. One of the snakes moved in front of Hinata, looking at her face to face. That was good kid, it hissed. I haven't seen anything that funny since her training with Orochimaru. Thanks. Hinata replied. Does this mean you'll let me go? The snake shook his head, no. Sorry, it hissed, we were summoned by Anko, we must do her bidding, and that means keeping you tied up. Hinata sighed. Anko-sensei. Everyone turned to see Sakura and Ino enter the clearing. Hey brats, you look different. It was true. Sakura was wearing pink spandex while Ino was wearing purple spandex. Choke on THIS. Sakura yelled as she and Ino hugged each other tightly. Ino. Sakura. Ino. Sakura. The air behind the girls shimmered, till it took on the form of a beach, waves lapsing lazily against it, the sun setting in the distance. Anko took one look at it and screamed. Not the flames on Youth. She gave one last scream as she clutched her eyes, before she passed out. The three kunoichi and the three snakes just looked at each other. That actually worked? Sakura questioned. Hinata clenched her eyes tightly as she focused her chakra. When she opened them, she managed to pull off a substitution jutsu, switching places with Anko. The tree branch gave out under Anko's weight, and fell to the ground, snakes and all. Hinata, Ino, and Sakura ran to Anko with their stopwatches, and held them against different spots of her body for 30 seconds. Before Ino or Sakura could let out a cheer for their success, Hinata raised a finger in front of her mouth, the universal sign for shush. She pulled out a canteen of water, opened the lid, and poured the water out on Anko's head. Anko coughed and sputtered as her summons laughed, not paying attention to the fact that they were restraining their summoner. Hinata pulled back the canteen for a moment, allowing Anko a moment to collect herself before splashing her in the face, sending Anko into another fit of sputtering and the snakes another fit of laughter. That was for eating in front of me without giving me anything, Hinata told her. Anko glared at her, before all three girls raised their stopwatches to her face, 30 seconds clearly indicated. Anko turned her head to the snakes. Stop laughing and get out of here, before I decide I want a snake wallet, she yelled. The summons, still laughing, vanished in a puff of smoke. Anko stood up and used her trench coat to wipe her face. Well, looks like I'm stuck with you brats, but I swear, if you pull any crap like you did today, come near me with a pair of spandex, I will retire you from being ninja, consequences be damned, understand? All three genin nodded. Yes Anko-sensei. Good, now then, it's lunchtime, so we'll head to town for lunch, get introductions out of the way, come back here, and train for the next few hours. I need to know what you girls can and can't do so I can help you become the best damn kunoichis this village has ever seen. Well actually, the best since Kurenai-chan, Yugo-chan, and myself, but you get the point. Now let's get some dango. Together, Team Anko left training area 43 for some well-deserved lunch. Amara carefully closed the wooden door. With one ear to it, she heard Naruto open the door to Kyuubi's chamber, closing it a few seconds later. She turned around and glanced at the room she was in. Actually, corridor was probably a better word for it. Along the walls were many shelves, on each were rows of white, gray, and black orbs. Amara bent over, one hand on her knee, the other she held her face in. Damn it, what the hell is wrong with me? I'm a member of the Alpha Wolf Squad. We always act by military code, why am I acting this way? I haven't been like this since before my kunoichi training began, she thought. Amara stood up, taking her hand off her knee and placed it on the wall, or intended to. Instead, it landed on a white orb, which began to glow brightly before engulfing the entire room. When the light faded, Amara saw that she was back in the pipeline. Thanks for trusting me with your past, Naruto. I promise your trust isn't misplaced in me. Amara heard. She turned around and saw Naruto and herself hugging. As Amara watched, she saw herself start nuzzling her head into Naruto's bare upper chest, then blushed as she watched Naruto start scratching her behind her ear and her reaction to it. That feels good, she heard herself mumble. Good to know. Amara heard Naruto's voice echo through the area. A brief flash of light found Amara back in the memory chamber. Amara was silent for a moment. Is it because of Naruto that I'm acting this way? Could spending only a few hours with him affect me so much? She asked herself out loud. You forget pup. Amara jumped, and turned to see Aku leaning on the wall behind her. You did tell him your past. He's the only person you've ever told. You wouldn't even tell Itachi. I had to. You would have ordered me to tell him my past, Aku. Yes, but you told him instead of me ordering you to. Amara just sighed. Aku, why am I acting this way? What are these feelings I have? I've never experienced some of them before. If you say love, I will get you fixed when you return to my mindscape. Aku shuddered, before closing his eyes and thinking for a few minutes. When he opened them, he motioned to the door and the two of them walked back into the pipeline. Aku turned to Amara. Pup, there is a slim chance of this working, but if it does, it will explain why you feel so comfortable around Naruto, besides being a fellow Jinchuriki and having similar pasts. Aku told Amara, who nodded in response. Now then, you know how to alter your mindscape. I want you to try doing that here. Aku, you know I can't do that. This is Naruto's mindscape, not ours. Amara answered. Humor me pup. Fine. Amara concentrated, and seconds later an opening appeared above Aku. Another second later, mint green colored water exploded out of the opening and engulfed Aku. Amara watched in shock and disbelief for a minute before she stopped it. Aku was once again drenched, and after wiping his face clean of water, he opened his eyes and just looked at her. Was that really necessary, pup? He asked. Amara just stared at him. You still smelled from your last bath, that one was mint-scented. How did I do that? This is Naruto's mindscape, not mine. Aku smiled at his pup before walking to her. He knelt down so they were eye level and placed his hands on her shoulders. Soulmates have the ability to alter the shape of their partner's mindscape, pup. Aku said. Amara was stunned at what she just heard. Soulmate? I'm his soulmate? Aku watched as several expressions flashed across Amara's face. He was surprised when it landed on anger, and when he used their link to find out why she was angry, he quickly raised his hand up in a surrender-like fashion. Pup, being soulmates does not mean the same thing as being in love. I have two friends back home who are soulmates and they are just friends. I've even met a pair of soulmates who were each other's most hated enemy. Being someone's soulmate just means you have a connection to them that no one else will ever have. Aku explained. The anger faded from Amara's face. Another thing, pup, Naruto's personal nature seems to affect people close to him, physically and/or emotionally. It allows people to be true to themselves and their feelings. The fact that you're his soulmate links you to the nature, his very being, and now that you've come in contact with him, it's affecting you fully now. Aku sighed before standing up and walking a few steps past her. Not looking at her, he spoke. Pup, all your life you've been forced to be a weapon of war. You've never gotten the chance to be you, Amara Sudafudo. He turned to face her, a small smile on his face. I can only hope that you can act more like yourself now that you've met Naruto. I can sense that you like him at least like a friend, and while I may tease you about becoming more, being friends at least will be the one of the best things we can do to help you find happiness, Amara, of that I'm certain. Thank you, father. Amara moved over to Aku and hugged him, Aku wrapping his tails around the two of them. Minutes ticked by as the two stood there in each other's embrace. Suddenly, both felt a huge amount of Yuki coming from Kyuubi's chamber. It faded seconds later. Daddy? Aku looked at his daughter, he saw her concerned look and now puppy dog-like eyes. It was all he could do to keep himself from laughing. It was the first time she ever called him Daddy, and seeing her act this way brought out a joy in him he had never experienced before, though he had enough mind to realize this wasn't the time or place for such things. Aku unraveled his tails, and the two separated. I'll check up on him, Amara. I still need to report to Kyuubi-sama about the war efforts. Aku told her, you go watch Naruto's memories, and you remember what each orb color represents, right? Black represents bad memories, gray represents noteworthy events, and white are positive memories. Amara answered. Aku nodded, a smile on his face. That smile turned into a grin as one of his tails lifted Amara's chin up, so the two were now looking into each other's eyes. Correct. Now tell me what color was the orb of you nuzzling your head into Naruto's chest. Amara flushed bright red as Aku began to laugh. Amara quickly grabbed the tail under her chin in two places before snapping it down hard on her raised knee. Aku howled in pain as he rubbed his wounded appendage. He growled at Amara, who in turn squealed and ran to the memory chamber. Aku reached out to grab her by the collar of her shirt, thinking about placing her over his knee, when a pipe rose from the ground and squirted water into his eyes, causing Aku furiously rub them. When Aku opened his eyes, the door to the memory chamber was gone, pipeline where the door was. Aku went to the wall where the door was and put his ear to the wall. He could hear giggling on the other side. Pup, open up, we need to have some words. The response was the wall hardening, the tunnel and ascension door being sealed off, leaving only the door to Kyuubi's chamber open. Aku sighed. Fine pup, we'll talk later. Aku slipped into the chamber as the pipeline changed back to its original form while Amara went through the memory chamber. The door slid open, and a man in standard Jonin uniform, spiky silver hair, his leaf headband covering his left eye, and a certain orange book in hand, entered. Kakashi Hitaki, here for Sasuke Uchiha. Kakashi announced, not looking up from his book. When he received no response, he looked around to see an empty classroom. Odd, he said to himself, this is the right classroom, I'm certain of it. You're also 3 hours late, Hitaki. A voice behind him spoke. Kakashi turned to the man, recognizing him as one of the academy teachers. Kakashi shrugged. I got lost on the road to life. He answered. You wouldn't happen to know where my apprentice, Sasuke Uchiha is, would you? Yeah, the hospital. Poor kid got Anko mad enough to summon a snake, then stupid enough to insult it. Got a bite on the ass, and I ain't talking about his rear end. Kakashi flinched at that. Guess that's something we'll have to work on. I'll be on my way now. The teacher nodded in understanding and continued on his way while Kakashi started towards the hospital. 5 minutes later he arrived at the main desk and the receptionist gave him Sasuke's room number. He arrived to a rather comical sight. Sasuke was wearing the standard hospital gown and from his chest down was under his blanket. Also under his blanket was a pillow, right over where his waist was, with a large leather belt holding it in place. Sasuke himself was desperately clawing at the pillow, trying to get under it. Damn doctors, it itches like hell. I need to scratch, it's driving me insane. Sasuke all but yelled as he continued to try and claw his way through the pillow. Just consider this a training exercise in patience, Sasuke. Hopefully it'll prevent you from getting into situations like this again when dealing with people like Anko, although there aren't many quite like her, thank Kami. Sasuke looked up to see Kakashi leaning on the doorway, reading his orange porno book. You're the porno reading, one-eyed scarecrow that crazy snake lady told me about, the one who thinks he can be my sensei. Sasuke stated, why would I need someone like you, when I could easily find someone even better? I take it that's what Anko told you I was. Kakashi stated, more so than questioned. He closed his book and sat down in a chair next to Sasuke's bed. I'll admit, there are 4 people loyal to the Leaf Village that could train you. They're, the crazy snake lady, Kakashi air quoted, the toad Sannin Jiraiya, the slug Sannin Tsunade, and the Sandame Hokage. Unfortunately, Sandame-sama is busy running the village and has sworn to never take another student again, so he's out. Then there's Lady Tsunade, she's in self-exile and wants nothing to do with Konoha. A real shame actually, so she's out as well. And Master Jiraiya is too busy gathering information about potential threats to the village and working on his masterpieces, taps his orange book, so he's out as well. Anko has taken on a genin team herself and you two don't seem to get along, so that leaves you with me. Great, Sasuke mumbles, now scratching at the pillow with one hand, resting his head in the other. There is, however, one thing, at least, that I can help you with that no one else can. Kakashi saw Sasuke look up, he knew he had him. This. Kakashi pulled up his headband, revealing his Sharingan eye. Sasuke gasped, the Sharingan, but how? You're not an Uchiha, are you? No Sasuke, I'm not an Uchiha, my former teammate was. It was during the last Shinobi War, our third member, Rin, was captured by the enemy. I wanted to continue the mission without her, which would have ultimately resulted in her death, while Obito Uchiha wanted to rescue her. We ended up splitting up, but I felt guilty and went back to help. Together we managed to rescue Rin, but I lost my left eye in the process. The enemy sprung a trap that would have crushed me, but Obito shoved me out of the way. Half of Obito's body was crushed. With the last of his strength, he activated his Sharingan and asked Rin to implant it into my eye. After that, I used my own original jutsu and killed the men that sprung the trap and completed the mission. You're the first person outside of the Hokage I've verbally told this story to Sasuke. I trust you'll respect my wishes and keep it a secret. Sasuke was silent, he turned his head and gazed out the window for a few minutes as Kakashi covered his Sharingan. Finally he turned back. I'm sorry for your loss, I've lost my entire clan, so I know it can be hard to deal with. I recently lost a comrade myself, though not in the same sense. Sasuke told him. Naruto? Kakashi asked. Sasuke nodded. Odd, from what I've read, you two never seemed to get along, yet you consider him a comrade. Naruto, he knows the pain loneliness and solitude can bring a person, to see him so upbeat all the time, despite how annoying it is something I can admire, respect somewhat. Unlike me, he doesn't know the pain of loss, family, friends, how your whole world could turn upside down. Sasuke explained. Despite that, Naruto is the closest person I can relate to, and I'm not about to let that go. I've made a vow to find Naruto and bring him back to the Leaf Village, as have the members of Teams 7 and 8. We know about what happened with the Forbidden Scroll and his being kidnapped. We also know that it will be a while till we are anywhere near that Kunoichi's level, so we've all decided to do more training than missions, so that we can improve our abilities sooner. I get the picture, Sasuke. Kakashi said, interrupting Sasuke. I must say, I am very proud of each of you. Obito had a saying that to this day I live by: those who abandon their mission are trash, but those who abandon their comrades are worse than trash. I'm glad to see you've at least got a grasp of this lesson. Sasuke smirked as Kakashi grabbed the diagnosis chart on the front of Sasuke's bed. He examined it, before putting it back. Well, Kakashi began, it says you won't be permitted to leave the hospital for 3 days, so we can't do any extreme training like you wanted. Sasuke started to protest when Kakashi held up a hand, silencing him. That doesn't mean we can't do some training while we're here. First, I need you to focus some chakra into this. Kakashi reached into his vest and pulled out a small square-shaped piece of paper. Sasuke eyed the paper, before grasping a corner and sending chakra into it. The center of the paper began burning, while the rest began to crinkle up, small bolts of lightning traveling through the crinkles. What the hell? Sasuke mumbled, before looking at Kakashi expectantly. This slip is sensitive to chakra, and when exposed to it, it reacts in some way to it. The reactions determine a person's chakra affinity, and a person with an affinity can learn jutsu of that affinity more easily than without. Kakashi explained, pausing to see Sasuke nod in understanding. Now from what this tells me, you have a strong fire affinity, like all Uchiha do, but you also have a lightning affinity as well. Also, while it may not be as much as your fire affinity, it appears your lightning affinity is much more potent than your fire. You can tell from those bolts of lightning there, and the facts that the slip didn't burst into flames and is just slowly burning. What kind of affect would this have on any lightning jutsu I use? Sasuke asked. Kakashi's right eye became a U-shape, his equivalent of a smile. It means any lightning jutsu you use would be more powerful than anyone else using a lightning jutsu, unless they have potent chakra like you. Looks like you really are special. Sasuke smirked. You expected something else? Don't get cocky, that's how most shinobi are killed, got that? Kakashi said, a serious look on his face. Sasuke gave him a firm nod. Kakashi's eyes smiled before going over to the window. Sasuke watched as he opened it and formed a hand sign. He saw a violent breeze pick up outside, and about 20 leaves flew through the window from a nearby tree. Kakashi gathered up the leaves and placed them on Sasuke's lap. He then pulled out a stopwatch, a notepad, and a pencil, and placed them onto the table next to Sasuke. In the academy, students practice chakra control by making leaves stick to themselves with chakra. You shall be practicing this exercise but with as many of these leaves as possible. Once you can hold all 20 on your bare skin for an hour, without one dropping, I'll explain the next exercise, leaf curling. By improving your manipulation of your chakra, you won't waste as much performing a jutsu, thus allowing you to use more. Kakashi explained. He pulled out his orange book. On that note, I must take my leave, for you see, I must report to the Hokage your statues and your desire for a month of training only. Though I will tell you now, I will be checking missions daily, and if I think it will benefit your training, we will take it, understand? Sasuke nodded. Kakashi turned to leave. Wait, Kakashi turned around at the door. You never introduced yourself, and I'd rather call my sensei something other than Scarecrow. Kakashi rolled his eyes at that statement. I have several titles. My name is Kakashi Hitaki, son of Konoha's White Fang, studied under the Yondaime Hokage, and a former Anbu captain. I am known as Sharingan Kakashi, the copycat ninja, and the man who's mastered 1,000 jutsu. I trust that you'll be able to complete the tasks that I lay out for you, now and in the future, Sasuke. Can I count on you to succeed? Sasuke raised his hand in a salute. Yes sir, Kakashi-sensei. Kakashi nodded and left. Sasuke sat for a moment, thinking over everything that's happened the past few days. Just then, he had an idea. Sasuke grabbed the pencil from the table, flipping it so his grip was by the point. Reaching under the buckled-down pillow, he pulled up as much as he could, before inserting the back of the pencil in, and began scratching. Ah, sweet relief. Sasuke sighed. Just then his pencil snapped. God damn it. The steel gate closed behind him with a clang as Naruto walked into the chamber. The room was dank, dirty, a physical manifestation of all the negative emotions Naruto, and possibly Kyuubi, ever felt. Across from Naruto was a giant barred gate, with a small slip of paper with the kanji for seal on it, keeping the gate closed. It was pitch black beyond the gates. This place is creepy, Naruto thought. Just then, he noticed a sound, barely audible, echoing softly through the chamber. What is that sound? It seems so familiar. Crying, it sounds like someone crying. As Naruto walked closer to the gate, he saw a large bundle of orange fur on the floor beyond the gate. The water seemed to ripple away from the bundle, as the bundle itself seemed to shake every few seconds. Now at the bars, Naruto was certain the figure was sobbing. "Kei Kyuubi?" he called out. He saw two large orange ears pop up from the bundle, before the bundle unraveled completely. 4 large legs and 9 long orange tails appeared before the face of the great Kyuubi no Kitsune appeared. Naruto didn't see what was so great at the moment, aside from her size, as Kyuubi's fur was soaked, and her crimson eyes had red blood veins running across them, giving her eyes a bloodshot look. "Who dares disturb me?" Kyuubi growled. Naruto gulped, but firmed his resolve. "Naruto Uzumaki, your container." Naruto answered, in a surprisingly even tone. Kyuubi stared at him for a moment before shaking her head. "You look just like him." Kyuubi moaned. Naruto was about to ask who he looked like, but Kyuubi cut him off. "Let me guess, you're here for my power, right? Well, here, take it. Take it all." Kyuubi's body glowed with crimson Yuki, before it leapt at Naruto. Naruto stumbled back as the Yuki slammed into the gate, some of it leaking through. The Yuki reached Naruto and started snaking its way up his body. Panicking slightly, Naruto yelled out, "I don't want your power." The instant he said that, the seal on the gate shined with black light, and the Yuki was flung back into the gate, subsequently flung back at Kyuubi. Kyuubi was knocked back into the wall behind her, where she crumbled in a heap on the floor. Kyuubi let out a moan, before breaking down in a fresh set of sobs. Naruto wanted to get closer to Kyuubi, and in a flash of light, the gate vanished. Naruto, not one to look a gifted horse in the mouth, rushed over to Kyuubi, sliding to a stop near her. "Are you okay?" he asked. Kyuubi's head shot up. "Of course I'm not all right." Kyuubi roared, causing Naruto to fall back on his bum. "I'm sealed away in some stupid kid and Konoha is still standing." Naruto stood up. "I know they aren't the nicest people to outsiders or people they think are freaks. Why do you want to destroy Konoha? Why attack Konoha in the first place? What did they do to deserve your anger? And why did you want to give me all your power? Wouldn't that prevent you from destroying Konoha, your desire in the first place?" Kyuubi stared into Naruto's eyes for a moment, before laying down, wrapping Naruto gently in one of her tails. "There is a war going on in the demon realm," she started. Naruto nodded his head, he knew this already. "I had a mate." Kyuubi sobbed, causing Naruto's eyes to widen. Cautiously, he raised his hand and gave Kyuubi a small, encouraging rub on her furry head. Kyuubi leaned into it with a sigh. "I had some kits as well. I didn't want them involved in the war. Kaz was only a two-tailed demon, he was at risk, as were our kits." Naruto nodded his head in understanding. "You took them to this realm to avoid losing them in the war." Kyuubi nodded. "Yes, I made a den in the Fire Nation, it had the best weather and atmosphere for my kits. I would visit once a month, every month. A day in this realm is a month in the demon realm, so it was a long time between visits for me, years. Well, one day I went back to visit, when I picked up several cents going to the den." Kyuubi started sobbing again. Naruto got a bad feeling he knew where this was going. "When I reached the entrance, Kaz's body was blocking the way. He had throwing knives, kunai, all over his body, surrounded by water. Water is a weakness to fire foxes, so he was vulnerable to water jutsu. I rushed into the chamber. Kami-sama, I'll never forget what I saw." "Leaf ninja?" Naruto asked, dreading the answer. Kyuubi nodded her head. "Yes. They wore masks. Anbu. I might be a demon, but those men were monsters. They were doing horrible experiments on my kits. One of the ninjas had placed a kit on some sealore, and was channeled my Kitsuki through his body. Another group had my last kid tied down, his orange fur was green and purple, he had scales now. I saw one man whip him while another poured some liquid down his throat. My kid roared as a tentacle grew out his back." Kyuubi broke into a fresh fit of sobs as Naruto rubbed her head. Naruto's head was spinning. Back then, the Yondaime was in power, only he controlled the Anbu forces. For Anbu to be in Kyuubi's den, doing what they were doing, it would mean that the Yondaime ordered them to do it. Was Konoha really as great as he had once believed? Naruto remembered a conversation he had overheard some months ago. Flashback. Two women were sitting at a small cafe, sipping tea, as Naruto was a short distance away, trying some dango. I can't believe that such an adorable little boy like that is really the— one woman started before she was interrupted. Stop, it's forbidden to speak of it. The other woman hissed. That shut the first one up immediately. Don't let that little monster fool you. Its beauty is only skin deep. If that monster ever gains power, it will be the end of us all. Whatever else was being said was lost to him. As Naruto left, his mood dampened considerably. End flashback. Is Konoha's self-righteousness really only skin deep? Naruto asked himself. He didn't know. Kyuubi seemed to have calmed down a bit, and took a deep breath. I slaughtered those bastards right then and there. They tried to fight back. The only one that gave me trouble was the one channeling my Kitsuki into himself, but I incinerated him with my fire Yuki. My kid seemed to be linked to him, so when I killed that man, my kid died too. The one that was being experimented on managed to catch one of the men before it died. I immediately searched his mind, trying to find out why they did this. Kyuubi took a raged breath. A man named Danzo had ordered these men to capture me and my kids. He planned to use us to improve his village's power, so that they could force the other shinobi villages to submit to their will. This plan was supported by several other people, high council members. I think they were advisors. The Yondaime wasn't mentioned, so I assumed he didn't know. Then you went to Konoha to demand they be punished for their crimes against you. But when they saw you coming they thought you were attacking, right? Yes, and in my grief, I fought back. When the Yondaime showed up, I demanded those responsible for my offense to be presented to me for judgment. He said that I had already killed them, and then his giant toad started attacking me. I tried to explain why I had attacked, but he activated his jutsu and summoned the death god. Together they sealed me in you. Next thing I know, I'm alone in here. Then you arrive a day after I woke up. Whoa, wait a second. You're saying you only just woke up? It's been 13 years since that day. Yes, I only just woke up when I felt something pull at my Yuki. Your power, that was the reason you were targeted, and that's why you wanted to give it to me. You felt me use it, and you wanted to get rid of it so you wouldn't be targeted anymore, right? You're right, this power has caused me nothing but pain and suffering. I just want to get rid of it and be done with it. When you took the Guardian's Oath, you knew the path would be a painful one to walk, Kyuubi-sama. Kyuubi's head snapped towards the voice, Naruto doing the same. Aku, Kyuubi and Naruto said at the same time. Aku stood in his human form, hands behind his back. What? How? Kyuubi sputtered. Using the bloodline I gave my pup, we were able to enter Naruto's mindscape, to visit you. It seems you two are on the same page now. Aku explained. But why would you search for me? And since when did you have a pup? Kyuubi asked. It's his container, they see each other as father and daughter. They were looking for us because they need our help in the war that's going on in your realm. Naruto explained. Kyuubi's eyes widened. The war is still going on? I thought we finished the ringleaders off already. Orochi betrayed us. What? It's true. Also, a group known as the Akatsuki has been collecting demons, half-demons, and even other guardians. We lost the three-tailed turtle and the six-tailed weasel to them while searching for you. My pup and I were the best choice to find you, since Nibi, Shukaku, Dracena, and I are sealed away in humans. None of the others are under our command, and Obidus, the seven-tailed phoenix, is needed to defend our main stronghold. Aku explained. Kyuubi was silent for a while, when suddenly the doors to the room flew open with a bang. Naruto. Amara's figure was a blur as she ran the length of the room, swiped Naruto from Kyuubi's tail, and slammed him into the wall back first. Amara held him against the wall, her hair hanging down in front of her face, making it impossible to see her expression. Of all the stupid, idiotic people and demons I have ever met, you are by far the worst. Naruto gripped the Amara's hand, trying to loosen her grip on him. What are you talking about? He gasped out. Those bastards used you, your body, to raise money for playground equipment at that orphanage, and you didn't say anything. You thought it was acceptable. What? Kyuubi and Aku yelled. They said K-kids would play with me more if I helped them raise money. Naruto rasped out. Kyuubi and Aku stared at Naruto in disbelief. You idiot, it's not right, what they did, what they put you through. Sleeping on a bed of glass, eating week-old food, taking those beatings for those troublemakers that never kept their word, you stupid fool. Amara said, her voice gradually getting softer, till it was barely a whisper. Aku and Kyuubi had waves of killer intent roll off them, though it wasn't directed at Naruto. Naruto moved Amara's hair from her face, revealing Amara's tear-streaked face. Using all his strength, he forced her arm off him and pulled Amara into a hug. Amara quickly grabbed onto him, sobbing on his shoulder. Kyuubi looked at Aku. "Your pup?" she asked. "Yup, this is the first time she's ever expressed her emotions when it involves another's well-being. It's ironic really, that those two would be soulmates and we were sealed into them." Aku smirked. Kyuubi looked surprised for a moment before smiling. "Yes, it's quite ironic, mate." In a puff of red smoke, Kyuubi was in her human form. She had long, crimson hair that fell down to the floor, crimson eyes deeper than Kurenai. She wore a red and black battle kimono, 9 orange bushy tails coming out the back. "Naruto," Kyuubi started, gaining his attention, "do you understand how corrupt Konoha really is?" Naruto slowly nodded his head. "I do, but I believe there are some good people left in that village." Naruto answered, "The sins of the many cannot be repented by the few good that village has. You shouldn't go back there, now or ever." Naruto jumped at this. "But what about old man Hokage, big sister Ayama, and her dad, and Cat-san, Snake-san, and Dog-san? They all know what I am and they treat me right. Those are only 6 people, Naruto, and there are plenty of people with more power than them. The Konoha Council could overrule the Hokage's authority. It's not enough to guarantee your safety." Aku said. "But, enough," Kyuubi interrupted. "We can work this out some other time. Right now, we need to gather the other Jinchuriki so we can put an end to this war." "While I agree with that assessment," Aku started, "we need to train Naruto properly. Konoha had sabotaged his education, both in ninja arts and everyday necessities. He is unable to read, write, or swim. We intend to train him for 7 days before we move out. We have 2 countries to move through before we reach the Shukaku Jinchuriki, and in his current condition he would be a liability." Kyuubi sighed. "Very well then, we'll find a secluded spot to train, but after 7 days we move out. We'll be cutting it close as with 2 weeks." Amara raised an eyebrow. "How did you know we only had 2 weeks left in this mission?" Kyuubi sputtered for a moment. Aku told me, now let's go already. They don't need to know that soul mates can read each other's mind." Amara, Aku, and Naruto vanished from the mindscape, Amara and Naruto waking up in the real world. Amara tossed him a shirt. "Finish up getting dressed, we leave in 5 minutes. There's a demon wolf den just a mile away from this village, that's where we'll be training for the week," Amara said before heading to the bathroom, closing the door behind her. "Alright brats, now that lunch and introductions are out of the way, we'll be doing some light training for the rest of the afternoon, so I can see what you need to improve in," Anko announced. "Yes Anko-sensei," all 3 genin yelled. "Alright you 3. This field is 300 meters in diameter, and you'll be running around the perimeter for the next 10 minutes. I'll be keeping track of your laps, so just concentrate on making your rounds," Anko explained. "Now get started." She threw an explosive kunai behind the genin, who scrambled away from it just as it blew up, and started running. 3 minutes into it, Sakura was breathing heavily, Ino was breathing hard, and Hinata was barely breathless. "What's the matter Sakura, too busy grooming your hair for Sasuke-kun instead of training?" Ino sneered. Sakura growled, picking up her pace to match Ino. 10 minutes passed, and all 3 kunoichi were on the ground breathing heavily. "Not bad ladies." Sakura had 20 laps, Ino 23 laps, and Hinata had 34 laps. "Looks like the Hyuga clan has reason to be arrogant," Anko said, causing Ino and Sakura to glare at Hinata, who looked away. Now, don't be mad at Hinata. She actually trains while you 2 beauty yourselves up for some emo boy who uses his name to get whatever he wants. Now then, follow me, and we'll begin the next phase of today's training." After walking for a few minutes, Team Anko reached another clearing. It had 3 log training posts, open field, a small lake, and plenty of trees. "Alright you 3, catch." Anko tossed a roll of tape to each of them. "Wrap both hands in these. Your next task is to punch those logs till they glow. They each have seals on them that will activate after being hit a certain number of times. The one who makes their log glow first get this energy bar, cause we have 2 more tasks after this. Now begin." Sakura started punching her log, wincing slightly as it hurt her knuckles. Hinata, not used to using her fists, had to constantly adjust to position her fingers and knuckles were in. Ino, having used her fists to motivate Shikamaru and Choji, had no problems and kept pounding away at the log. 10 minutes later, Ino's log lit up and Anko tossed her the energy bar. 3 minutes later, Sakura's log glowed, her fists were sore, but usable. Hinata's log lit up a minute later, her fists were bleeding profusely, so Anko unwrapped them and quickly healed them with a medical ninjutsu. Not bad you three. If I didn't know any better, I'd say you two used your fists quite often, Ino, Sakura. Anko said. Yeah, I was the one who usually motivates Shikamaru Nara and Choji Akamichi to do something productive. Honestly, I was expecting to be placed on the same team as them, given our parents' success and all. Ino explained. You and everyone else. Due to the uneven number of graduates for three-man teams, we had to adjust the team selections. The Sandame made it so the teams were more balanced out, not just specializing in one field, though he does have backup teams in mind should the situation call for it. Anyways, Sakura is the intelligent one, you Ino are our intelligence gatherer, and Hinata is the scout and some added muscle, while I'm an interrogator and the main muscle of the group. Anko explained. The genin nodded their heads in understanding. So who do you use your fists on, Sakura? Sakura was quiet. Naruto. Hinata answered, glaring at Sakura. Really? Anko asked. What did my favorite little knucklehead do to you to earn a beating? How do you know Naruto? Sakura asked, trying to change the subject. Who doesn't, what with all the pranks he pulls? He's already broken my record from when I was in the academy. Anko answered, but that's a tale for another time. Why did you hit him? He was always so annoying, he kept asking me for a date. He wouldn't go away unless I hit him or cursed at him. Sakura finally answered, sounds like something Sasuke would say about you. What with the way you worship the ground he walks on? Hinata said. Sakura sputtered, trying to say something to defend herself. She's got a point forehead. Ino said. I'll admit, I'm pretty bad when it comes to Sasuke myself, but I don't make 80% of my world revolve around him. I do train, hang out with friends and family, while you follow him around like a lost puppy. I'd find it annoying if someone did that to me, though I'd be creeped out if I knew someone had a shrine of me in their closet that they worship every morning and just before bed. Hinata and Anko gawked at Sakura, while said girl tried to find something she could use in her defense. Surprisingly, it was Hinata who helped her. I thought I was the only one who had a shrine dedicated to the one I loved. Ino, Sakura, and Anko rounded on her, while Hinata just shrugged her shoulders. Hinata? Sakura started. Back in the classroom, you said that the villagers beat Naruto, that they blamed him for the Kyuubi's attack. What made you think that? Naruto to me is Sasuke to you, Sakura. The only difference is that I never had the courage to confront him and tell him my feelings. I guess you could say I've taken to stalking him. It was when he was 7, on his birthday, that I saw a crowd of villagers, and even some shinobi, beating him. One person yelled, "It's your fault those people died that day, Kyuubi brat." So I just assumed. Hinata trailed off. Why would our shinobi, who swore to protect the village, attack a 7-year-old boy? Ino asked, not directed at anyone particularly. You can try and figure that out on your own time. Anko answered. We still have training to do. All three genin nodded. This next exercise is one we'll be working on till you master it, but today we'll go at it for just an hour. Anko walked over to some trees, the three genin following. To their surprise, Anko started walking up the tree, hands in her pocket, till she was halfway up the tree and sat on a branch. Your task will be to climb a tree without using your hands. You'll need to focus chakra to your feet, but be careful, too much will blow you off the tree, and too little will prevent you from sticking at all. Here, she threw 3 kunai down to them, each landing at their feet. Use these to mark your progress. I've got a stopwatch ready to time the hour, and just a tip, try running at the tree to gain some distance. Now get started. All 3 genin ran for the tree, scooping up a kunai on the way, and began running up the tree. Hinata made it 3 steps up before she slipped and fell to the ground. Ino made it 8 steps before she was blown off her tree. Sakura made 15 steps up the tree before she had to mark her spot. This continued for an hour before Anko called them down. Alright. Hinata made it about 1/5 of the way up her tree, Ino 2/5, and Sakura 3/5. Now Sakura, being that you're from a civilian family, You naturally have the lowest chakra reserves of the group, making it much easier to control them, so that's something we'll have to work on. Anko stated. Now then, the final piece of today's training is a little treat. Each of you need to focus some chakra into these slips of paper, and we'll learn what element affinity you have. Anko handed them each a square slip of paper. Sakura focused chakra into her slip. The inside grew wet while the outside crumbed. Ino poured chakra into her slip. It crinkled up, bolts of lightning flowing through the crinkles. Hinata sent her chakra into the slip. The inside began to shine with a white light. White sparkles floated up from the slip, while the outside grew wet, drops of water pouring off it. Anko walked by each of them, explaining what each reaction meant. Sakura, you have a water affinity along with an earth affinity, meaning you can learn water and earth-style jutsu faster than someone who doesn't have an affinity for one. Ino, you have a powerful affinity for lightning jutsu, and your chakra appears to be potent, meaning any lightning jutsu you throw will be stronger than one someone else would use without potent lightning chakra. Hinata, you have a water affinity, which is also very potent. You also have another affinity, but I don't recognize it, but I can only assume it's potent because of the sparkles it's giving off. Alright you three, that's all for today. We'll meet back here at 9 AM sharp, and don't be late. Anko shouted, before vanishing in a whirl of leaves. Hinata, Ino, and Sakura bid each other farewell and headed to their homes for some well-deserved rest. Are we there yet? No. Oh, are we there yet? No. Oh, are we there yet? Maybe. Huh, maybe? What do you mean by that? Just shut up for a minute. The den is hidden from chakra detection, so I need to concentrate to find it using my demonic traits, got it? Oh, okay. Naruto answered. Good. Amara stated. The two continued tree jumping for a half hour before Amara stopped, grabbing Naruto by the collar of his shirt as he was about to pass her. This is it. Huh? Where is it? Naruto asked. Amara leapt down into the small clearing, her hands glowing with silver yuki. As she landed, she slammed the palms of her hands onto the forest floor. The silver yuki spread to the left and right of Amara's hands, reaching the ends of the small clearing before turning in the direction Amara was facing. The lines traveled to the end of the clearing, before turning towards each other and finally connecting. The ground seemed to rumble for a moment, before a small section rose up in front of Amara, big enough for an elephant to walk through. A small dirt path led into a lower level of the den. Amara turned to an openly gawking Naruto. It's right here, she told him. Now follow me, this thing will only be open for 30 more seconds. Naruto sprang into action, leaping down from the tree and rushing into the opening, Amara following close behind. The entrance behind them closed, leaving them in the dark for only a moment, before the walls seemed to shine with a silver light, leading the way. This is so cool, Naruto exclaimed. Amara smirked. Just wait till you see the den itself, this is my favorite den to stay in. Amara told him. After walking for a few minutes, they came upon a huge double-sided door made of stone. Amara bit her thumb, drawing blood, and smeared it over the crack between the two doors. The doors glowed silver for a moment, before they swung inwards, revealing the inside of the den. Whoa! The inside was mostly just stone and dirt, but the stones gave off a slight glow, making an almost peaceful atmosphere. A pool's worth of water was off in a corner of the den. Several plant roots came through the ceiling. Several more giant doors were around the room. What they were for was something Naruto could only imagine. This is the main room, where we'll be doing our main training. The first door on your right is the waste room. There's a small hole in the ground for you to do your business in. After all, this place wasn't built for human comfort. Anyways, the room next to that is for bathing, and the first room on your right is the sleeping quarters. Any questions? Amara finished, turning to Naruto. Naruto shook his head. No. Good, then we'll begin immediately. Amara walked to the center of the chamber, Naruto following close behind. Amara turned to him. Alright, I need you to make this hand sign and focus Kyuubi's yuki. Naruto nodded and formed the hand sign Amara made. Kyuubi allowed some of her yuki to slip through her seal, and soon orange yuki was swirling around Naruto's body. His fingernails lengthened, becoming more claw-like, his teeth grew, becoming more fang-like, and his blue eyes became slitted and crimson. Okay, that's more than enough, you can stop channeling it. Amara told him. Naruto nodded and released the hand sign, causing the yuki to now outline his body instead on swirl around it. Now then, You know the shadow clone jutsu, right? Naruto nodded his head, yes. Good, use all the Yuki you have summoned and create as many shadow clones as you can. Naruto nodded and quickly formed a cross-shaped hand sign. Shadow clone jutsu. The chamber was engulfed in smoke, and once it cleared, it showed the over half the room had Naruto clones. Amara did a quick head count. 500, very good. She formed the same cross-shaped hand sign. Shadow clone jutsu. Another puff of smoke, and 250 Amara shadow clones appeared. Naruto grinned at the original. Haha, I can make more than you. Naruto laughed. I wasn't trying to make as many clones as you. The way it is now, 2 of your clones will be paired with 1 of my clones. Everything a shadow clone learns and experiences once dispelled comes back to the caster's mind, so by having 2 to a clone, it's like doing the same lesson twice, making it easier to remember. Amara explained. Naruto made an "oh" face. Amara pulled out a large piece of paper and handed it to Naruto. Focus your chakra into this. Naruto did as he was told. Zigzag lines cut the paper into several different sized pieces. A large piece crinkled up, bolts of lightning traveling through the crinkles. A slightly smaller piece became drenched with water. The remaining 3 pieces, all equal with size, glowed white, black, and gray, each giving off sparkles of their respective colors. All the Amaras in the room had their jaws dropped, causing the Narutos to chuckle lightly. The original Amara snapped out of it first. Incredible, you have 6 potent affinities. Wind, water, lightning, light, darkness, and twilight. Even I don't have as potent chakra as that. And you even have light, darkness, and twilight affinities. Someone is born with all 3 only once every 1,000 years. Amara gazed into Naruto's eyes. Konoha was foolish to treat you like they did. They missed out on having the most natural elemental shinobi ever born in their village walls. Amara turned to her clones and clapped her hands, getting their attention. Alright everyone, listen up. 2 Naruto clones to 1 of mine, then divide into pairs of 50. 1 group will work on chakra control techniques, another on reading, the 3rd on strategy, the 4th on elemental chakra, and the 5th will alternate on the other 4 topics every hour. Now everyone get moving. All the clones scrambled together, before getting into their separate groups. The original Amara passed out several scrolls to her clones, containing equipment for chakra control, reading material, several chalkboards with erasers and chalk, papers and pencils. Amara then turned to the original Naruto. You and I will be doing physical training. The one thing you can't use shadow clones to improve is your body's muscles and structure. We'll continue this pattern for 2 days, and after that, the groups will change. The first 2 groups will still work on chakra control and strategy, the 3rd will work on reading, 4th will be on elemental jutsu, and the 5th will work on non-elemental ninjutsu. The problem with being demon containers is that we have so much chakra and yuki in our bodies that it makes it hard to control it enough to perform genjutsu or medical ninjutsu. I have some advanced chakra control techniques we'll try later aside from the clones, because it could cause them to disburst, though for us it will just stain. Got all that? Amara finished. Yeah, I think so. Naruto said, nodding his head. Good. Earth style. Mud clone jutsu. Amara created 2 mud clones, one went to Naruto, the other stayed with the real Amara. We'll start out with push-ups. Our chests have to touch flat on the mud clone's fist to count. The goal is 200 for today. Hey, that's not fair. Your chest is bigger than mine. Amara and her mud clones all sputtered at this. Naruto, the point on my chest will be above my breast, just the same as you, so it's still fair. Amara explained, her cheeks slightly red. Oh, okay then, no problem. Let's get started. Naruto assumed the push-up position, his mud clone laying down on her stomach with her fist under Naruto, ready to count. Amara nodded and mimicked his actions. The 2 began their training. 1 week later. Well Naruto, I've got to say, you've exceeded all my expectations. Amara stated with a smile. Naruto grinned back. Well, I was known as Konoha's #1, hyperactive, most surprising ninja. Naruto answered. Amara had made a healthy diet for Naruto over the week, and the effects of Naruto's physical training and the diet were showing as he had gained some slight muscle. You forgot knuckle-headed. The way your clone messed up that one jutsu caused all that paint to splatter on all the clones in the area. So Sumi, making an original jutsu isn't easy. You of all people should know that. Amara sighed, then gave Naruto a small smile. You're right, but I'm afraid it's time for us to leave now. We'll have to move fast. Our destination is the hidden sand village, where the one-tailed Jinchuriki resides. We're at the border of the rice country right now. We'll follow the border, cut through stone country, and make it to wind country in about 5 days if we move fast and aren't interrupted. Got all that? Yeah, let's get moving. Right. Amara put her mask back on, then she and Naruto ran out of the den's entrance and leapt into the trees. They tree jumped for 2 hours before coming upon a mining area, void of trees. Let's double back and move around. Agreed, Naruto answered. Just as they turned to leave, a gold-colored kunai ran through the tree branch, causing the two to jump down to the mining area to avoid injury. Well, looks like we have a couple of spies caught in our web. A voice said from above them. Naruto and Amara looked up at the top of the cliff overseeing the mining area. 5 figures could be seen in the early morning sun. One was particularly large, and appeared to have a mohawk haircut. The second had 6 arms, his hair tied back behind him. The third figure appeared to have 2 heads and a mop-top style of hair. The fourth was clearly feminine, carrying a flute in hand, and wore a cap over her head. The fifth was tall and very sturdy, his hair shining in the sunlight. Amara stood up, brushing the dirt off her clothes. We are not spies, we merely took a wrong turn and were about to double back till we recognized our surrounding and would go from there. She spoke clearly for the 5 of them to hear her. Yeah right, our village hasn't been getting the supplies it's supposed to from this mine, and when we check it out, lo and behold, we find the 2 of you sneaking around here. The one from earlier spoke. Just to be safe, we should bring them in for questioning. If they are the ones responsible for the lack of goods from this mine, we'll force them to tell us where it went. The tall one said, obviously the leader. Right, the other 4 cried out, before all 5 leapt down to ground level, where Amara and Naruto were. I'm afraid we are on a time restraint on an S-class mission, we don't have time to explain ourselves to you. Amara calmly stated. Too bad, looks like your mission will be a failure. The one with 2 heads said. We'd rather avoid conflict. Naruto stated, but took a defensive stance just in case. Tough shit, said the girl with the flute, moving said flute to her mouth. Amara sighed. We don't want to fight, however, if you start this battle, know this. A rainbow color aura of elemental chakras surrounded Amara's body. It will be your last. No one survive against the mistress of elements unless I let them. The leader's eyes widened. Everyone, activate your level 1 curse seals. If she is the mistress of elements, we'll need the extra power. Jirobo, you deal with the blonde kid, then help us, this will be a fight. The other members gulped at that statement. They had never heard their leader say anything close to that in relation to a fight. All 5 of them activated their curse marks. Swirling purple chakra surrounded them as black markings spread across the skin on their bodies. Curse marks, huh? You guys must be the Sound 5, that gay snake pedophile's bodyguard. Amara stated, causing the leader to snarl. How dare you? You will not live for disgracing Lord Orochimaru's name. He dashed forward, pulling a bone out of his shoulder, which shaped into a blade. He leapt into the air, his blade above his head, aiming to slice Amara in 2.
That's all for now. If you want to see next part, then please like this video and subscribe my channel. Thank you.